Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are officially live, and we are going to be, as the title says, we're going to be listening to the trial testimony of Accuser Rosetta Grate today. So, full transparency, you guys know how I love to just self-deprecate, apparently. But uh, I didn't. I need to start getting together with the reading team, and we need to start recording sooner than the day before we go live with it because I'm a perfectionist, and I didn't get all through all of the editing. I did get some of it done, um, and but you know what? Listen, we are imperfect humans, and we're kind of proud of that, or at least Cherie and I are. I feel bad because those that helped us read this week, Richard from Off Label Podcast and Jennifer joined us this week as well. She's also from Off Label Podcast and Robert Govea Esquire YouTube channels. And she joined us this week too, and she was reading the part of Gayland Gieger. She was freaking fantastic, and so was Richard, and so was Cherie, and so was I, of course. But we made a lot of mistakes, and poor Richard, because he was reading the part for defense attorney Scott Adams. What few mistakes he did have are kind of obviously in the second part because he's doing what's it called, cross-examination. So Richard, big shout out to you. You did a great job, but I certainly was not able to edit any of your little tiny boo-boos out. I will try to fast forward through them in the video if I can, but don't count on it because that's kind of hard to do. That's not real easy to do. Doesn't matter. Again, we're all humans and we are all flawed and we all make mistakes. And I would not be who I am if I was not allowed to be able to make the mistakes that I make, right? Those of you who know me know that. Cherie specifically.
Yep, we're here, warts and all.
Yep. Yes. That's why you don't see real live pictures of us, because we don't want you to see our warts on our faces.
Yeah, that's it.
But everybody did a great job reading. It was a cold read, which means none of us read it beforehand or practiced or anything. It's a cold read. What do you guys want from us? I want to say a quick hello to everybody in the chat before I get started, and then we'll start with this recorded trial transcript. So, Muffin, it is great to see you. I'm not sure if you're still here, but thank you for being here. And what's up? Appreciate you being here. Lewis, BD, is in Canada. He's my new friend of mine from Canada. An amazing, great guy and a great contributor. And thank you for being here and your support. Sheila Hawkins, our girl, how are you? It is so great to see you. And we're so happy to have you with us again, always. Under Your Scars, and Under Your Scars is always here too. She's also very busy and helping her mom, caring for her mom. She also, I better not say that. Everybody might know, but I don't want to divulge information that she hasn't given me permission to divulge. But anyway, she's always a great supporter of wrongful conviction cases and all things true crime. So thank you for your support. Thank you for being a member. Also, Sheila, thank you for remaining a member for all this time as well. And Under Your Scars is going to be back. Jaznaz, thank you so much. Always can count on Jaznaz to come in and remind everyone to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and he's always here to show us love, and I really appreciate it more than you possibly could know, Jazz. Let's see. Yep. There's always the reminder. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Michael Stetson, I think he's here, so that's a good sign, but I might have scared him last week when I publicly said he was my virtual online crush. So always such a nice guy. So thank you so much, Michael, for your support. Um, and Cherie is giving everybody a great shout out. Thank you for doing that, Cherie. I really appreciate that. Um, and let's see. I don't want to, like I said, I want to get as much as I can before I forget. Um, Rick Rick is also a great friend. I found out last week, he and Michael Stetson and the RP games, they know a lot more about Daniel's case than anybody I've met outside of our team that we have here. It's very impressive, and I'm really, really happy to, you know, have them contributing to the chat as well. So far, I haven't seen anything that they've said in the chat, any of them, that was incorrect. So they're getting their information from, I believe, mostly at least Rick, from Uncuff the Innocent website. And I know that information to be accurate. So thank you for your contributions, Rick. And Rick says, I told you, let me know when you were doing the next one. Hey, I'll give you the link after we're done listening to the transcript, Rick. If you'd like, I'll grab the link and give you the link, and you can come in for the discussion afterwards if you'd like. That would be fabulous. Let's see. Spuds. Hey, Spuds, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for your support. You guys are awesome. With the exception of Cherie and Jennifer and maybe one or two other women, I don't have, nor do I want, female friends. The ladies I just named are exceptional. And, they are true friends, female friends who I just love and adore. And otherwise, most of my friends throughout my entire life have been guys. So I'm shouting out to all the guys in the chat right now who are especially new friends of mine.
Don't be putting women down there. What the heck?
No, I'm not down.
I don't have women friends.
I said except for you and Jennifer. You guys are exceptional. I'm not putting women down. I'm just saying I've been kind of screwed over and betrayed more by women than I have men. My guy friends are, that's all I'm saying. Thanks, Jazz. Okay. Yeah, I'm not putting women down. Women freaking rock. Are you kidding me? We are badass. So, and Spuds, hey, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Listen, Spuds, if you have any ideas or suggestions for what we can do for our members, please let me know. You can either DM me or put it in the chat or in the comment section. I'm really struggling with getting content or members only things to share. You guys should have something, and Cherie and I are just kind of really struggling to come up with ideas that you guys might enjoy. So please contribute to that and to the suggestions, and we will gladly consider everything. So thank you so much, Buds. And yes, you're right, Sheila. Jazz keeps us on our toes always, and that's good. That's good. Some of us need to be reminded always. I know you're not scared of nothing. Hopefully, yeah, good. It's all in good fun. So, I mean, I do adore you, but I'm not stalking you, so you're good. Let's see. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. Rick says he'd be happy to join us. So, yeah, if we haven't gone over 2 hours by the time this is done, if I'd shut my mouth and let everything get started, then we'll be happy to have you jump on and just share your thoughts and opinions about the case altogether. Things that have stuck out to you. You are a guy. I do know that, Lewis. You are a guy. You are You are among one of my friends, one of my very good friends. So thank you. um, and let's see. Yeah, I agree. Women do rule. Sheila, thank you for saying that because it is hard to be friends with some females. It really is. Sometimes women can just be harsh and uh, not even harsh, but just, I don't know, bitchy maybe. I don't know. I can't describe it, but like I said, I've had more trouble with women throughout my life than I have men, as far as being true friends. Men aren't like that. Well, maybe this is because I raised 5 sons that I think this, but I raised 5 sons, and whoops, I'm having a problem here with. There we go. So maybe what is happening with my Cherie? I need to teach Cherie how to use all these things so she can help me out with the chat and things like that, because I kind of suck at it when I'm trying to talk at the same time. But anyway, yeah, anyway, it does. That's all blah, blah, blah. Little Barb, it is so great to see you. I'm so happy to have you here. It's been a minute since we've seen you. Just for so everyone knows, way back when I first started this endeavor to and research and learn more about Daniel's case. Um, Little Barb and Cherie were the first 2 people who were on board to say, "Yeah, I want to help. What can I do?" And Little Barb had a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of different things that she was doing, different cases she was involved in, and wasn't able to help because I kind of had a slow start at it. But I just want you to know that Little Barb's been on board with Daniel and his innocence from at least as long as I've known her. So thank you so much for your support always, Little Barb. Okay, did I miss anyone? Mean chicks. Yeah, I know, mean chicks. Okay, I think I caught most of the comments and the hellos. Oh, there's Muffin. He's back. Great to have you back, and I really appreciate you. Um, don't mind you. Well, of course I'm going to mind you because you're one of my male friends. Okay. All right. Okay. Is everybody ready? I think I mentioned there's going to be a lot of fun, interesting mistakes that you're going to come up with, that you're going to hear. It's okay. Um, I'll do better next time. Or I'll just leave all the mistakes in and not edit anything. We'll see which is more entertaining. But for now, here we go. We're going to start the recording of the trial testimony of, what's her name? Accuser Rosetta Grate. Jennifer, I think I mentioned, our new friend, reading friend, is reading the part for Gayland Gieger. Richard is reading the part for Defense Counsel Scott Adams. I will be reading the part of Rosetta Grate, and Cherie is going to be reading the part of the court. So here we go.
Transcript of the jury trial had on the 18th of November 2015 before the Honorable Timothy R. Henderson, District Judge in and for Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Volume 11 of 18. Call your next witness.
Rosetta Grate.
Ma'am, if you'd step before me, raise your right hand. All right, if you'll have a seat over here in this chair, once you're situated, pull that microphone right around in front of you. If you would, state your name and spell it for us, please.
Rosetta Renee Grate, Rosetta. Renee, RA''NEE, and then Grate, Grate.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You got to scroll. There you go.
Ms. Grate, you're obviously in the custody of the Oklahoma County Sheriff, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury why you're in custody right now?
Relapse.
Okay. What? Explain that. I know what relapse means. You started using drugs?
Yes.
Okay. But why did that result in your being detained in the county sheriff's office?
Because I'm in a drug program, and then they gave me a 6-day sanction. We go in for 6 days.
So you're in a program here in court that a judge is supervising. Ultimately, a judge has control over you right now, correct?
Yes.
And so the jury gets an idea. How long ago was your relapse, Ms. Grate?
The night before last.
Okay. And how is it that your relapse became known to either your lawyers or the judges here a judge here in the courthouse? How'd they find out about it?
I told.
You told on yourself?
Uh-huh.
And ma'am, is your lawyer back here?
Yes.
And your probation officers back here?
Yes.
How long is your sanction? How long do you have to stay in jail?
6 days.
Ma'am, in that regard, your diversion program, does Ms. McConnell or I have any involvement in that? Have we ever been involved in your diversion program?
No.
Staying completely separate from this case?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention to this case if I can. Do you remember the first time the detectives came and talked to you?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where you were when they came and talked to you?
Yes.
Where were you?
Oklahoma County Jail.
What were you in jail? What were you in the jail for that time?
I was AWOL off my program. I wasn't doing my program.
Same type of problems?
Uh-huh.
All right. How long have you been in that program, ma'am?
A little over 2 years.
And is the program designed that if people relapse or go AWOL off of it, then you get sanctioned and you get second chances if the judge thinks that's appropriate?
Yes.
All right. Or third chances, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the detectives who came and talked to you? Were they men or women?
Women.
Okay. Is one of them at this table right here?
Yes.
Okay. You recognize Detective Davis?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, do you recall what it was that Detective Davis first said to you when she came to the jail? And what I want to know is, how did your initial conversation begin? What did she say and what did you say, if you remember?
Well, she had asked me if I don't know how to say it, like the officer that had contact with this particular officer, I believe.
Okay. She asked you if you had contact with an officer.
Uh-huh.
That's what you remember her saying.
I think so.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. Did you tell her about that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, would you tell the jury what happened with you with the officer? First of all, ma'am, do you remember approximately when it was?
Yes.
When was it?
About the end of April
Of what year?
last year.
2014?
Yes.
All right. And ma'am, in April of 2014, where were you living?
At 633 Culbertson Drive.
And who were you living with?
Will Carter.
Okay. And can you tell me what your relationship with Will Carter is, please?
He's my boyfriend.
Okay. A boyfriend in a romantic sense?
Yes.
Okay. Boyfriend, girlfriend? Okay. Were you still in that type of a relationship in April, or had it begun to change?
No, it was in April.
I'm sorry?
It was still the same thing.
It was still the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me who else was living in that house at that time, if you recall.
Just me and Will
Just you and Will?
at that time.
All right. Ma'am, the day that you had contact with the police officer that you told Detective Davis about, do you remember where you were? Do you remember where you were where that contact occurred?
Yes.
Where were you?
On 14th and Jordan, Northeast 14th and Jordan.
All right. Jury's heard a little bit about that location. What caused you to be over at 14th and Jordan?
Crack cocaine.
What were you doing?
I relapsed again.
Okay. Is that a place you can buy it?
Yes.
How'd you get the money to buy it?
Prostituting.
And who would you buy it from?
From inside the house. There inside the ramp. They call it the ramp.
What's the ramp?
It's the ramp where the house that sells the crack at.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 152. Is that the ramp or is that a different house?
That's a different house.
That's not the ramp, correct?
Correct.
All right. Why do you call the house that you buy the crack at the ramp?
There's a ramp going up to how you walk up a ramp.
All right. Is it a man that you buy crack from or a woman that you buy crack from?
A man, majority of the time. Sometimes it's been a woman. It might be a sister.
A sister. But it's not that house I just showed you.
No.
States 152. All right. Do you recall what time of day it was whenever the officer came up to that area?
No, not specifically what time of day.
Okay. Well, do you recall the officer coming up?
Yes.
Do you see the officer in the courtroom that approached you that day?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me where he's sitting and what he's wearing, please?
He's sitting right there
Okay.
with the aqua blue inside.
Aqua blue shirt.
Yeah, on the inside.
Ask the record to reflect identification.
Record will still reflect.
Ma'am, whenever the officer pulled up, tell me about, did he say something to you?
Yes.
Okay. What did he tell? What do you remember him saying to you and how did you respond?
He's like, what am I doing? And I just remember I was already, I knew I wasn't supposed to be in that area. So I went ahead and said that I was getting high and that I wasn't supposed to be in this area.
And so he comes up, says, what are you doing around here?
Yes.
Something to that effect. And you said that you're getting high.
Yes, sir.
You telling the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me more. How'd that conversation then go? Tell me about what you were doing, those types of things.
I told him that me and my boyfriend had got into it. I had been, and he told me that I wasn't supposed to be going into that area, and I just left anyways. And then every time.
So your boyfriend told you you're not supposed to be going to that part of town?
Yes.
Why did your boyfriend tell you that?
Because he tries to help me in my program to try to stay straight.
Does your boyfriend know what goes on over in the area?
Yes.
All right. But you went over anyway.
Yes.
And were you engaged in prostitution that night?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell the officer you were engaging in prostitution that night?
Yes.
Tell me what you told him about that.
I told him that every time I try to go home, a date picked me up.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I'll start trying to go home, and then a man will pull over and pick me up, and that, so I can do a date with him,
That night, ma'am?
sell my body to him.
I understand.
That's what date.
Thank you. And I understand that. Thank you. How many, do you recall how many dates where you had made some money through prostitution, bought some drugs, and then tried to leave, and somebody else comes up and offers money? And how many times did that happen that day?
Pretty much all day long.
Okay. Until this officer comes up.
Yes.
Okay. So when the officer comes up, do you tell him basically that you just told, do you tell him basically what you just told me, that you're trying to walk home, but every time I do, I get a date?
Right.
That's the way the conversation went?
Yeah. And I told him, that I was in a program and my dude said that I wasn't supposed to be in that area and I knew I need to get home.
So you essentially told him everything you've just told me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What happened after that, ma'am?
Then he started checking my purse, my little black purse on me. And I sat it on top of the car and
On top of the police car?
on top of his police car.
Do you remember what the police car looked like?
Yes.
What did it look like?
Black and white, black with white writing.
With white writing.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what the writing said?
It's police department.
Police?
Yeah.
So you had a purse. You start looking through it, or the officer starts looking through it?
He starts looking through it.
The officer starts looking through it?
Uh-huh.
And then at some point you said something about it being put on the car. Tell me about that.
Yeah, he put it on top of the car, and that's when the crack pipe was found.
Was there a crack pipe in your purse?
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So he finds a crack pipe. The purse then is placed on top of the police car. What happens next?
And so I had the crack pipe. He said, I don't know if that was, he asked me to throw the crack pipe down and break it.
He asked you to do that?
I think, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you do that?
Yeah.
All right. Then what happened?
And then basically he offered the ride to the house.
He offered you a ride to what house?
To my house.
Okay.
I told him.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about.
I told him every time I try to go home that, I keep getting a date and keep getting picked up. And so, then he offered the ride. Will I like a ride to the house? And then I say, yes, I would, because I was tired anyways.
Okay. So did you get in the police car?
Yes.
Had you had police officers give you rides home before?
Yes.
All right. So you didn't think anything too much of it?
No.
Did you tell him where you lived?
Yes.
Was it that same address that you told me a minute ago? 633 Culbertson?
Yes.
Before he put you in the police car, did he search you in any way?
No. Liar.
Where-
Liar, liar, liar. Liar, liar, liar. Sorry.
Yeah, I know,
Fucking
right?
lie.
Get it all out
God.
now, right? Okay.
Well, there will be more, but carry on.
Okay. Where in the police car did you ride?
In the back seat.
Okay. Do you remember which side of the car?
Yeah, in the left side.
The driver's side?
Uh-huh.
All right. Tell me about the drive home. What, if anything, did you talk about, or how did it go? Tell me.
We was headed the wrong way at first because he was facing south, and so for a few streets, but I thought he knew where Culbertson was. I was like, well, are you still taking me home? He's like, yeah. But at the same time that he was driving, he was kind of in and out. I wasn't paying attention. I was nervous. But he was asking me, what do I do out there? What's my specialty?
So
Trying to get, and then trying to ask questions about.
Hang on. I want to make sure I'm understanding you. So he started going south on Jordan.
No. Yeah, on Jordan.
On Jordan. Okay. And that was concerning. You said you were nervous. Why were you nervous?
Why was I nervous?
Yeah.
Because, that wasn't the right way. And so that's,
Did you say something to him about that at that point?
yes.
Or did you just let him keep going?
No, I said something at that point.
What did you say?
I said, "Are you still taking me to the house?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, Culbertson's the other way." He's like, "Oh." But then, like I said, he was caught up in asking me about my specialty.
What did you mean? Or what did that mean?
Like my head, oral performance.
Just use the words he used and the words you used.
Yeah. How do I give? What's my specialty? What do I do best?
As a prostitute?
Yes.
And what did you say?
Head. I prefer to just give head.
You prefer to just give head.
Uh-huh.
Did you tell him that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then and he started asking. Yeah, that's what I told him.
Then he started asking what?
Like, what do I do? How do I give it?
Did you describe it?
Well, yeah, but I wasn't going in depth because I was so nervous.
Tell me what you said.
I was just like, just give it. And he was like, just like, okay, because I wasn't paying attention to that, what he was, actually doing. I was just so nervous. Only thing I wanted to do was get to the house because I didn't really know, with him not going the right way at the beginning and where was I going? I was trying to just get home. So to be honest with you, I don't remember the real specific. I just remember that's what he asked me.
Okay. At some point, the direction of travel, did it change so you weren't so nervous anymore about where?
Yeah, because then when I had that up, then he made a right, which is facing westbound. And then, I told him how to get back to my house.
All right. And then he went that direction.
Yes.
And is it during all this that you're having the conversation about your specialty?
Yes.
How long does that conversation last? Let me say, does it last all the way until you get home? Or does it stop and you start talking about something else?
I don't remember if it lasted all the way to the house, to be honest with you. I just know that's what he kept trying to bring, what he kept trying to ask and bring up.
Do you remember it being more than just one question?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember anything else that was discussed on the ride back to the house?
No, I don't really remember that.
Okay. Well, eventually, do you make it back to the house?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, when you get to the house, can you tell us about what happened there, please?
Okay. When we pull up to the house, he pulls all the way in the driveway. And I noticed that my man wasn't home, and because his car he has 3 cars and that he usually parks one in the driveway.
Mr. Carter wasn't home?
Yeah, Will wasn't home.
Will wasn't home.
And Will was angry at me. Anyway, so when he gets angry, sometimes he'll lock the door. And I just didn't know, but I was just glad to be home. So when we got there and he opens up my back door and I get out, I went on to get my purse back. I said, "Where's my purse at?" He's like, "You don't got it?" I was like, "No." And he starts searching in the front. I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, I'll go back and get it." And I was just like, my purse is not going to be there because it's a drug area. Just don't worry about it. I didn't care about it no more. I was just ready to get in the house.
Did you have money in your purse?
No.
But you didn't think it would still be there?
No. I had my ID and my bus pass. I had my monthly bus pass in there, just my makeup and stuff. It was just a little bag.
But you told the officer, don't go back and...
Yeah, I said I knew it wasn't going to be there. Somebody was going to pick that up.
You think he left it on top of the car?
Yeah, he had to left it on the top of the car if he didn't have it.
But you weren't upset about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was upset, but I was like, don't worry about it. I was just wanting to get rid of him and get in the house.
This happened in the driveway
Yes.
as you're getting out of the police car.
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, I asked you if he searched you before he put you in the car. Did he put in handcuffs or anything like that when he put you in the car?
No.
All right. So after you had the conversation about the purse, what happens after that?
Then I start walking towards the front door, and I notice that he's walking towards the front door with me. And so when he followed me to the door, and then the only thing I'm making sure at this time is maybe he don't think I live here, and I don't know if Will's got the door unlocked. So when I get there, the door was unlocked, and I was happy, and I went in. I was thinking he's going to turn around, thinking I didn't stay there since I was hanging out on a corner looking homeless. Will lives in a pretty big house. And so when I walked through the door, he's walking through the door with me. So I'm still thinking maybe he doesn't think I stay here. So I start showing him, this is the living room.
And let me be real clear. So you know when you get there that Will's not there because his car's gone.
Yes.
Did you say anything to the officer about that?
Yes.
That Will's not here?
Uh-huh.
What did you tell the officer?
I said, well, he's not here, but
Had you told the officer that you lived with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. So that happens some...
Yeah, that's what I was telling him on my relapse that I had got into with.
That had happened from the very beginning.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Before the car ride began.
Yes.
Okay. And then when you arrived, you realized Will's not there, and you actually remember saying to the officer before you go in, Will's not here.
Yeah.
When he follows you in, was that concerning to you?
Yes.
Why?
It was weird, but the only thing I could make logic to is he didn't think that I really lived there.
Okay. The ID that you lost over the 14th and Jordan area, did it have that address of 633 Culbertson on it, or did it have another address, or do you know?
It didn't have Culbertson on it.
It didn't have that on it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The one I got now does.
You're in the living. Are you in the... Describe the house to me. You said it's a big house a minute ago. Tell me what the house is like.
Yes, you got the living room when you walk in. Then you got the dining room. Then you got the breakfast room. Then you got the kitchen, and then got up and the bathroom. And then you go upstairs to the bedrooms.
A 2-story house?
2-story home.
The bedrooms are upstairs?
Yeah, it's 4 bedrooms upstairs.
All right. So you're in the house, and you said something about maybe being in the living room.
Yeah.
At this point, tell me what. Pick up from there and tell me what happens.
So I was like, this is the living room and this is the dining room, and but we still walked through the living room part, and I was like, this is the kitchen.
Why were you giving him a tour saying this is this room?
I was nervous, and I didn't know what the situation, I didn't know if he thought, only thing I'm thinking is he don't think I live here.
Was he saying anything to you?
No, he wasn't saying nothing.
He wasn't saying anything?
Uh-uh.
Okay. What happened next?
So then I think that was my second or third time messing up. And so Will kicked me out of the room and made me move into the bedroom next door. So now we're in separate bedrooms.
I want to make sure I understand. It was your second or third time of messing up, meaning the second or third time to relapse.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And so Will had made you move into another bedroom instead of sharing his room.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Uh-huh.
All the bedrooms are upstairs, though?
Yes.
Okay,
But there's only 2 with beds.
I understand. So you're downstairs and you told me what you were thinking. So what happens next?
So when we're walking upstairs and I'm thinking, let me make sure, show him that I stay in my room. So this is Will. And I told him, what Will did. I said, but now I don't live in there now. I said, I live over here because he gets angry when,
Ms. Great, did the officer ask to go upstairs?
no.
But you took him upstairs anyway?
Yeah, he's still in the house.
And that's my question.
He's not going nowhere.
Why then, after showing him the downstairs, did you decide to go upstairs? Because
I'm thinking he still doesn't think that I live here. I'm nervous. I'm not really thinking of nothing, but I'll just show him that I live here. And then,
are you trying to prove to him that you live there? That you live
yes,
here? By showing him around the house?
yeah,
Okay. So you go upstairs?
yes.
What happens?
Then when I explained to him
I'm sorry. Ms. Great, you're walking upstairs, right?
uh-huh,
You get to where the bedrooms are.
yes,
Do you remember what happens when you get to that spot? Can you tell me about it?
yes. So I was like, I told him that Will got angry at me. And so this is where I'm at now. And then he's like, have a seat.
So you showed him the other bedroom.
Yes,
And then the officer said, have a seat.
have a seat. He said, and he's unzipping his zipper where his penis is at. Where else would a zipper be? What the fuck? He said, this is better than county jail. And so then he takes out his penis and places it in my mouth.
When he said, have a seat, where were you?
On my bed.
Not in Mr. Carter's bedroom, but in the other bedroom.
Yes.
You sat on the bed?
Uh-huh.
Is it your memory, ma'am, that the first thing the officer said upon entering the house was to have a seat when you got upstairs, and then this is better than the county? That's the only conversation you had with them.
Before I answer, I just want to ask.
I messed up. I'm sorry. I see it.
No. Oh, stop. It's fine. It's no big deal. Does this sound leading to anyone? I mean, this is the prosecutor.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, definitely.
God, he leads every single witness like this, and it pisses us off. and you guys will notice, if you haven't already, I think there's plenty of times that the defense attorney should have objected. And you'll find that he does. Yeah, he very rarely makes objections. He does sometimes, but anyway,
I'm seeing that.
It's infuriating. Okay, anyway, line 16. Yes.
You sat on the bed?
Uh-huh.
Is it your memory, ma'am, that the first thing the officer said upon entering the house was to have a seat when you got upstairs, and then this is better than the county? That's the only conversation you had with him?
Yes.
And ma'am, it may be obvious, but because she's writing it down, I want to make sure. Whenever he did that and says, this is better than the county, what did you take it that you needed to do or were supposed to do?
Perform oral sex on him.
And because of the words he said, what did you think would happen if you refused?
I didn't even really give that a question because of the situation. It was...
Did you do it?
Yes.
His penis go in your mouth?
Yes.
You said he unzipped his pants, ma'am. The officer that, when he had come in contact with you, was he in an officer's uniform?
Yes.
Did he have a gun belt on?
Yes.
And all that stuff?
and his gun on him.
So when he unzipped his pants, did he take that gun belt off
No,
and do something with it? It stayed on?
it stayed on. The gun stayed on because I was looking at the gun the whole time, asking him to, could you move the gun to at least protect the.
So, and I don't mean to have been graphic, and it's obvious but I want to make sure that the record's clear. His penis is exposed, it goes in your mouth, and it's sticking out of his fly.
Uh-huh.
And his gun on his gun belt is still on right here.
Uh-huh.
So is his gun close to your face? You got to answer out loud.
Yes, sir.
So I think you indicated you said something to him about that. Did you say something to him about that?
Jesus. Why don't you just tell her what she said?
I know, right?
God, I can't stand it. It's so infuriating. Line 15. Yes.
And what did you say?
I said, could you move your gun? And he just kept going. He never really said nothing. He just kept going, moving his body.
He was moving his body?
Yeah, moving so he could, moving his body so his penis could.
His penis was moving in your mouth?
Yes.
How long did that last, ma'am?
About 5-10 minutes.
Do you know if he ejaculated?
No, he didn't ejaculate.
He did not?
Oh, this is very different, right? From preliminary last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Line 3. No, he didn't ejaculate.
He did not.
No,
Why did that stop?
because
The oral?
he told me when he pulled it out, he wants me to lay back on my back now.
On the bed?
Uh-huh.
Did you?
Yes.
What happened then?
Then he just gets right on top of me, sticks his penis right in my vagina.
What were you wearing?
I really don't remember. I don't remember.
Well, obviously your vagina.
It was, open, available.
That's what I'm asking. How did your privates get exposed?
It had to be a little dress on then. I had to have a dress on then because I didn't pull nothing down.
You think you had a dress on?
I think so.
Were you wearing underwear?
No, not in that profession. I normally don't keep underwear.
Does it get in the way in that profession?
Yes, or I lose it or it disappears.
Penis goes in your vagina?
Yes.
About how long does that last?
About another 5 or 10 minutes.
Do you remember if he ejaculated?
No, he just he started looking back because in that room facing the driveway and stuff, I don't really know what he thought about, but you could see that he was serious and, he jumped up, zipped his pants up and left.
So something happened that made him stop.
Uh-huh.
You're not sure what it was? Was there a sound? You said he looked back. Did you?
Yeah, he was kind of looking out the window and then he just, because maybe he got a thought or maybe he heard something because I don't know what he might have thought because he knew Will wasn't there. Maybe he thought he heard something and thought about the situation. I don't know really what he's thinking, but that's what he did.
So after that encounter stops, and does he say anything to you or does he just leave?
He just leaves.
He just leaves.
Uh-huh.
What did you do?
And then I grabbed a rag and wiped and just threw the rag in my closet.
And again, I'm not trying to be graphic, Ms. Grate, but you wiped your vaginal area?
Yeah, and I don't remember I mean, being in the profession, you usually know when a man comes and stuff. I don't really did.
Sorry, I just wanted to say uh, the original or the edited recording has a graphic content warning. And I know we're kind of seems like we've gotten past this graphic content by now, but I just want to say out loud, lots of graphic content in here. So obviously, not that a lot of people really care because it's the nature of the case, but I just wanted to say that out loud.
But there was still pre-cum, because I still wet.
So you wiped it off.
The slimy stuff. Yeah.
All right. During that encounter, ma'am, was there anything else in that room that you thought looking back on it, might have had some evidence on it?
Yeah, the chair. I remember the chair to the dresser. I'm thinking that he was holding his hand there, and I remember when he finished, I remember kind of wiping it, off.
When you finished the oral sex?
Yeah.
And you did a motion a minute ago that the court reporter can't write down. You kind of put your hand up to your mouth.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Tell me what you did.
Yeah, when you're giving a man oral sex and then the spit from your mouth or whatever the situation, it might be coming out. And I just kind of wiped it from right there. I remember wiping it on the chair.
What did the chair look like?
It was what color or what does it let me start that over. It was what color or what does it look? Just a chair, regular chair.
Just however you describe it. Do you know what color it was?
No, I don't remember what color it is. Not right now at this moment. I can't.
All right. The officer leaves. At some point, did Mr. Carter come home?
Yeah, not too much longer after that.
Did you tell him what happened?
Yeah.
What was his response?
If I hadn't been out there, none of that would have happened.
That doesn't sound very sympathetic. He wasn't very sympathetic?
Will's sympathetic, but he's very to the point, like.
He was upset with you because of what you were doing?
Yeah, he already told me not to go. And I mean, I don't justify it, but if I hadn't went, it would never happened.
Did you call the police, Ms. Grate? You got to answer out loud.
No.
How come?
Because I knew I didn't have no business over there in that area. I don't really know. Because I'm in a program. What am I going to tell them? That's what I feel like. What am I going to say that would make any type of sense? But I really never kind of just get rid of that memory. That's how I deal with things.
Get rid of the memory is how you deal with things?
Yeah, like, from rapes and stuff. I just try to start erasing it.
You may be anticipating my next question. Have you been able to get rid of it? Why not?
Because I'm here dealing with this deal. Because I'm here dealing with this deal now. I mean, because it's another add-on chapter to things that have happened in my life. And it's not going nowhere. And especially this one, because it just keeps coming back. I can't get rid of it.
Ms. Grate, I want to show you a couple of pictures. May I approach?
You may approach.
First of all, I want to show you States 238. This is just off of Google Maps, but can you recognize that area and can you show me? Do you recognize where Mr. Carter's house is on that? Is that yes or no? If you can't, it's okay. I don't know if you can recognize it or not.
It looks like it's probably this.
Is that an apartment complex that's across the street?
Yes.
Okay. Does this help you get bearings?
Oh, okay.
Realize that's an apartment complex right there?
No, this house right here, because he's in sober living and he really helps out.
So this is Mr. Carter's house right here?
Yes.
That's what you were pointing at?
Uh-huh.
I'd offer states 238.
No objection, Your Honor.
238 will be admitted.
And ma'am, I'm going to show you another map then that is a larger overhead area and than that. It's a little hard to see, but states 208. You see that's the apartment complex?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You see how it's bigger there, but it's smaller, but you can see it?
That was, sorry, I'm trying to parse that question.
You want me to do it again?
No. You were fine. It just doesn't make any sense.
It didn't roll off the tongue at all, I know.
Well, that's not your fault. That's Gieger's fault. He's an asshole. He's such a leading fucking idiot. He's disgusting.
Oh, I feel it. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. Okay, line 17. Oh, okay.
I want you to look at that red line. And if I tell you that that's the area of 14th and Jordan, does the red line show consistent with your memory of the direction that Officer Holtzclaw drove you that night?
Yeah.
Okay. Offer 208, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 208 will be admitted.
Ma'am, so the jury now can understand what you and I just talked about. This is 238. You see that? And then the apartment complex that I was talking to you about, is it that building right there?
Yes.
And then Mr. Carter lives across, there's a median, but then Mr. Carter lives in this first house. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that the house where the events that you just told me about took place in?
Yes.
And then showing the route that you just said you traveled with police officer, 208, it starts at this location at 14th and Jordan?
Yes.
Okay. And then you see how the red line goes?
Yes. Which that would be southbound. Yes.
All the way over to the Culbertson address. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's consistent with your memory?
Yes.
Ma'am, there's a couple other pictures that I want to show you as well. But before I do, I want to ask you more questions about it. All right?
Okay.
Whenever you met with Detective Davis, you were in the county jail, and did you essentially tell her what you just told us today?
Yes.
All right. And ma'am, did you talk to her about the towel and the chair whenever you talked to her at the county jail?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, whenever she made contact with you in the county jail, were you still living in the house with Mr. Carter, or had you left that house?
Yes. I mean, it's always open. But at that point, it was a lot of nagging. So I kind of went full-fledged into my relapse. And I just hadn't been back in a while.
After some days had passed, at some point, you'd gone right back into using drugs and prostitution very heavy.
Yeah, because he was just constantly going there saying it,
Because what?
Constantly saying, if I hadn't been out there because, I was...
Mr. Carter was saying that? And so you left?
Yeah, arguing. We was arguing.
All right. So had it been, and I want to be clear, had it been a period of weeks then since you had been in that house before Detective Davis came and talked to you in the county jail? In other words, you hadn't been living there for a while, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when I showed you the pictures, did
No.
you tell me? I know I
No,
messed up.
sorry. Line 12.
Okay. Ma'am, do you remember meeting with me sometime in October and me showing you some pictures for the first time?
Yes.
Okay. And when I showed you the pictures, did you tell me that some things had changed in that bedroom whenever these pictures were taken?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is that me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, I was off the screen for a second.
Line 20.
You're fine.
Judge, object to the form of the question.
All right, sustained.
When I showed you the pictures, did you notice things different than they were the night that
Yes.
the assault had occurred?
Yes.
What were the types of things that you noticed that were different in the pictures?
That the table was not anymore in the room. The table.
Okay.
And that's what I noticed.
Do you know whether or not anyone else had been in that room during that time period?
At the time, no, I didn't know.
When I showed you the pictures in October, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that at that time.
Did you talk to me about someone else being in that room and staying in that room for a while?
At the time?
Whenever we were looking at the pictures, did you tell me someone else had been staying in the room?
No, not when I first talked to you about it.
And I apologize. We've talked. You testified at the preliminary hearing too, and we talked before that, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me ask it a different way. At some point, did you become aware that
Yes.
someone had been in the room before the pictures were taken?
Yes.
Object to the form of the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Okay. Tell us about what you know about that.
I know that Luella, Yolanda, this lady named Yolanda, came and stayed there to try to help her out.
Willie's tried to help her out too?
Uh-huh.
Is she living a similar lifestyle as you are?
Yes. Well, yeah, she don't stay out there and prostitute. She still has a drug addiction.
All right. In any event, someone else had been there.
Uh-huh.
All right. Approach, Your Honor.
You may approach.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you maybe not all of these, but certainly some of these. I'm going to show you 209, 210, 211, 212. Let's just look at those for now. Are these photographs that you recognize? What's in those photographs?
Yeah.
Is that the house
Yes.
at Culbertson? Is that basically the way it looked from the outside?
Yeah.
Still kind of looks that way?
Yes.
Offer 209, 210, 211, and 212.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 209, 210, 211, and 212 will be admitted.
So the jury can see what we're talking about. That's the outside of the house, correct?
Correct.
Ma'am, whenever the police officer parked and you guys went in the house, did you recall if he parked in the driveway or if he parked in the...
Yeah. He parked in the driveway.
He parked in the driveway. All right. 210 is just another photograph from the outside of the house.
Okay.
211, is that the driveway?
Is that the entryway? But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go back.
Wait, did I mess up? Is the outside?
Yeah, it's fine.
211 is...
Twen-
Okay. 211, is that the entryway?
Yes.
And 212 shows. What is that?
It's the front door, or it's one of the doors again.
213, do you recognize what this is?
Yeah, it's the living room.
Okay. Looking into the house?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll offer 213.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit 213 will be admitted.
Cherie, time out for a second.
Sure.
Cherie, are you using like a microphone from your headphone earbuds or your
I'm on
laptop
my
or
phone because my computer just.
As far as the furniture goes, set up
Away from you.
Okay.
better.
perfect. Thank you so
All right,
much.
try it there.
Okay, I'll start on line 13 here. That's just looking inside the house, correct?
Correct.
All right. Ma'am, the next group, and I'm going to identify them for the record. So 214, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 220, all the way to 235. So 214 to 235, you saw as I was flipping through there. Are those all photographs of the bedroom?
Yes.
Is the bedroom, as far as the furniture goes, set up the same way it was that night, with the exception, I think you said that there was a table
Yes.
was in the room that night.
Which I would object to this witness testifying to what she's viewing. They have not been admitted.
All right. Identify.
I'm sorry, Judge, trying to lay a foundation.
Go ahead and lay a foundation if you can.
Are there some things that are different than they were that night?
Yeah.
Okay. The table being one of them?
Right.
Okay. The tape. Okay. But other than that, and are there some items in the room that are different than that night?
Yes.
Other than that, do they show the way at the room at least is laid out and set up?
Yes.
I'd offer them at this point, Your Honor.
Judge, I just object to the foundational requirement. I don't think this is an appropriate way to admit the exhibits, and I object.
All right. Come on.
Your Honor, I agree that she's going to say that things are a little different, but I think in order to lay the foundation, to have them admitted later, I need her to identify that. And I don't know that I'll have an opportunity to if I don't do it now. That's why I was going to go through them and say what's different in the pictures so that I can lay the foundation, because otherwise I'd have to put on the CSI who took the photographs and then call Ms. Grate back after they're admitted and say, okay, was this picture the same as the other? So I won't show the picture if counsel doesn't want me to at this point, but I need to go ahead and put it in the record what she's saying is different.
Well,
Or I can call her back after I get them in.
you can identify for the record
Uh-huh.
the exhibit number, and she can say what's different from she was in there, from when she was in there, as long as she's identified it as the house, the room,
Exactly.
or whatever it is.
Okay.
But they won't be able to be admitted
I agree.
until somebody says that's the.
If there's an objection, I agree. Ms. Grate, when I look at the photograph that's number 214, is that essentially the way that it was the same night?
Yes.
Is the bedding the same?
Yes.
All right. So 214 is an accurate way, the way that it was set up and looked that night.
Yes.
All right. What about 215? Do you see anything that's different in 215 than it was that night?
No.
Okay. Is 216 showing things that are different than it was that night?
The closet.
So the closet's different in 216?
Yes.
Don't tell me what it shows on here, but tell me what was in the closet that the night that this happened. Don't tell me what this picture shows. Tell me what was in the closet the night that it happened.
All that stuff wasn't in there.
Okay. There's stuff in there that wasn't in there.
Yes.
Okay. Is that where you threw the towel?
Yes.
All right. Okay. 217 shows the closet also, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. 218. Can you see if anything's different in that photograph?
There's
Is that
Yeah, everything's still the same.
All right. Is 219 the same, or is there some things that are there that are different?
Yeah, there's some ladies.
Some things on the dresser that are different.
Because that's my daughter's.
Okay. 220. Is that essentially the same, or is it different?
It's different. The table's gone over here.
Okay. There was a table that's not there now.
Yeah, a little dresser study desk.
This one shows the closet, 221, correct?
Yeah, and table's gone.
222.
Yeah,
It's got stuff on the dresser.
yeah,
223 shows the closet.
yes.
224.
That's the same.
That's just showing the upper part of the closet and that stuff in the same.
Yes,
All right. 225, is that the same?
yes,
226.
yes,
227.
yes.
228's different. It's the closet.
Yes,
As for 229,
yeah,
as for 230,
right.
okay. 231, is the table gone in that one?
Yeah, table's gone in that one.
What about 232? Is that the same?
Yeah,
That's the same.
yeah.
Okay.
Only the bed and chair. Yeah, the table's gone.
Okay. Was the table close to the chair?
Yeah, yeah,
Is 234 showing the chair?
yes,
Is that the chair that you talked about a moment ago?
yes.
Is 234 accurate the way it was that night, or is it different?
No, the chair was turned around into the table.
So it was facing a different way?
Yes,
As for 235,
right.
is that the chair?
Yes.
Was it right there, or was it moved?
No, it was it was just turned around because the chair's still kind of by the bed, but it's turned around like, when you sit into it.
The chair was by the bed, but it's in a different spot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe she's identified the following exhibits as being consistent with that night. And that would be, I'd offer 214, 215, 218, 224, 225, 226, and 227.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 214, 215, 218, 224, 225, 226, and 227 will be admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Grate, 214 shows, you tell me what I am looking at here.
My bedroom.
Is that the room where the oral sodomy and the rape occurred?
Yes.
215, is that a picture of the bed?
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
218, another photograph of the room?
Yes.
What's 224?
Picture of the closet.
You saw some other pictures where the bottom of the closet is visible, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury the way you remember the bottom of the closet the night that the assault happened. What was in the bottom of the...
There wasn't nothing in the bottom of the closet.
So when you threw the towel there, it was down there by itself.
Uh-huh.
Is that your memory?
Yes.
225 is another picture of the closet, the upper part. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's some place to store things. That's one of those places, and there's another, correct?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, after you talked with Mr. Carter, you told me that your relationship started to be one that you were arguing a lot, and you finally left at least for a time period. Is that right?
Right.
After the night that the officer came over in late April and had this occur in the house, did you see that officer again ever?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me about that, please?
It was shortly after the incident. I was walking down the street from getting some crack with another guy that smokes crack. And we were walking back to his house.
There was a man with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And we were walking back to his house, and a police car goes by and stops at the stop sign at 16th and Highland. And as I'm looking, I'm kind of like, I'm thinking that were him. He's screaming, "Hey, hey," like we're old time friends or something. He's trying to speak to me. And I just kind of put my head down because I was real nervous. Like I really didn't see the cop car and tried to ignore it. And it looked like he put it in reverse because, the lights change. But I walked back. The guy's name was Eastside that I went and I got some crack with. Walked back to his back house, the back driveway house, or the house's back driveway where we go smoke at.
So that was the extent of your contact that other time.
Yeah.
Just the officer drove by and said something like, "Hey, hey."
Yeah. He was trying to get my attention. I just couldn't believe it.
Do you know what Eastside's name is?
Real name?
Yeah.
No.
Did you tell Eastside about what that officer had done to you?
Yeah. After that, I told him.
After you saw him that night?
Yeah. Yeah. Prior to that, I had said something. That's why I was tripping. But at that time, his name was getting around on the street.
At that time, did you call the police and report it? Why not?
I was fixing to get high, and I wanted to get high, and that's pretty much that. Just get rid of it. Try to get rid of all the feelings and everything.
Did you get high with Eastside that night? Ma'am, other than telling Eastside and Mr. Carter about what happened with the police officer, do you remember if you ever told anyone else about it?
My daddy. I told my daddy.
And what's your dad's name?
Johnny Great.
Do you remember in relation to the time of this? And let me try to give you a point of reference. Did you tell your dad before Detective Davis talked to you, or after Detective Davis talked to you at the jail for the very first time?
Did I tell my daddy before?
Before you told Detective Davis, had you told your dad?
Yeah, before.
It was before?
Uh-huh.
And did you tell him everything that happened, or what exactly had you told your dad?
I just no, I didn't tell him detail for detail. Me and Daddy talk, but we don't talk where we just get detailed conversation. No, I was just yelling that, I had been raped by an officer.
What's your dad do for a living?
He's a carpenter.
Whenever you told your dad about it, did he encourage you in any way to make a report, or did he make a report or anything like that?
No.
Did you talk about making reports with your dad?
No.
Did it upset him?
Okay, give me a second. Sorry, I was talking to the wife. Where are we at? 54 to 9.
Line 13.
All right, sorry, she got my attention.
It's okay.
Your Honor, object is relevance.
Sustained.
Did it upset you to tell your dad about it?
Oh, shit. I thought that was her again. My bad.
Line 17.
I'm not.
Your wife is fired. Next time I see her fucking with you in your chat, I'm getting rid of her.
All right, sorry about that.
Line 17.
Judge, again, object to relevance.
Yes.
All right, sustained.
Currently, ma'am, are you back living at the house at Culbertson, when you're not being sanctioned?
Yes.
Are you in a relationship with Mr. Carter now, or is it more?
Yes.
You're back in a
Uh-huh.
relationship? Pass the witness.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's about 10:15. It's a good time for us to take a break. Step. So with that, the jury will be excused until 10:50. All right, everybody to be seated. Mr. Holtzclaw, you're excused until 10:50. Let the record reflect that all members of the jury are present. Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant. The defendant is present. Mr. Gieger, if you'd get your witness, please. Ma'am, I need to remind you that you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Grate, so that we can get a timeline of the version of your events that occurred in the case, is it the very first time that you talked to law enforcement, Detective Davis, in the case while you were in Oklahoma County Jail on August the 27th of 2014, correct?
Yes.
And you told the jury that the reason you were in jail on August the 27th of 2014 is because you had relapsed, correct?
Yes.
That's the reason you were incarcerated on August the 27th?
I was AWOL off of my program. I relapsed.
It was actually much more than that, because on August the 26th, the day before you had ever met with Detective Davis, you were arrested by a member of the Oklahoma City Police Department, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Come up. What's the objection?
It's not a conviction, and to go into the facts of another case is not proper impeachment.
Judge, she testifies it's because she was AWOL and that she had relapsed. She's been accused of other crimes in which I intend on bringing up that she was arrested by an officer. She said it was simply because she had relapsed, and that's the reason she was in jail.
I'll let you ask her the reasons she was in jail in a leading question, but not go into any details about it.
Well, Judge, it's very important we do, because what happens is she pulls over and she's a passenger in the car, and she gives him a fake name to the police officer, and she calls in a false shooting to her own address to try to get the officer pulled off. It's extremely relevant to the case. She tried to downplay it, and then she said she just relapsed. There's not a lot more to this story than that, and juries just need to hear the truth. I intend to get into the fact, but
Richard, sorry. Can you go back to on line 6 where it starts? There's a lot more to the story.
oh, I did say there's not a lot. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
There's a lot more to this story than shit. Hold on. There's a lot more to this story than that, and the jury needs to hear the truth. And I intend on getting into the fact that she lied to the officer. They found out she was lying, and she made a false 911 call.
What was the charge that she was?
For making the false 911 call and for false information to the police officer. So it wasn't a relapse, it was new crimes.
Well, I'll let you ask her in a leading question of what she was arrested for, but I'm not going to allow you to go into the details of that.
Okay. So establishing the fact that the very first time you had ever talked to law enforcement about Officer Holtzclaw was August 27th of 2014. The truth of the matter is what had happened. The truth of the matter is what happened was on August 26th of 2014, you were a passenger in a vehicle that'd been
Correct.
pulled over by the police officer in Oklahoma City, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
All right, ask another question from there.
You, after being pulled over, you used a cell phone and called 911, and
All right, hang on just a second.
Objection, Your Honor.
Come up.
Miss French. Your Honor, may I approach?
Come on up, Miss French. All right, we've got Ms. French here from the Public Defender's Office. You're Ms. Grate's attorney, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm the attorney of record in the case that Mr. Adams is speaking about. That is a pending matter. There's no plea and there is no plea agreement. I would object to any questions on her behalf and assert her Fifth Amendment right to any questions that are involved in that case.
Okay,
If she's advising her to take the fifth, I'd ask that she take the fifth. But it's extremely important, Judge, because what it is they want the jury to believe that she's simply in jail just because she relapsed. No, she's out committing additional crimes. She's calling 911, and she calls the 911 to call in to her house on Culbertson is where, and they go out on that. Go to the Culbertson. Where the hell am I again? I lost it. Here we go. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Here we go. We didn't ever call 911. The patrol officer gets the phone. God damn it. I am screwing this up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read ahead in my mind and it's not happening where my voice comes out the same.
I think you're getting ahead of yourself in your head.
I am.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. The patrol officer gets the phone number that called 911, walks back to where Miss Grate is, calls the phone, calls the phone call that called 9. What? This is just weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me roll it back.
You want to start over from the line 4?
Yeah, this is actually kind of hard. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I'll start over with it. If she's advising her to take the fifth, I ask that she take the fifth. But this is extremely important, Judge, because what it is that they want the jury to believe is that she's simply in jail because she relapsed. No, she's out committing additional crimes. She's calling 911, and she calls the 911 in her house on Culverson is where, and they go on that. Go to Culverson. We didn't ever call 911. The patrol officer gets the phone number that called 911, walks back to where Miss Grate is, calls the phone, called 911, and her phone starts ringing. It's extremely relevant to this case.
Your Honor, if I may, when she was arrested, there was an active warrant out in her CF-13 case number that she was on probation for female diversion. There was an active warrant out and she was arrested on that also.
all right, this will be the ruling. You can ask in a leading question that what she was arrested in jail for. Ms. French, you're welcome to sit at this first chair. I'll tell the jury who you are, and if there's any other questions that you think might incriminate her, you can make an objection on her behalf.
Thank you.
Okay, I want that on record.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, Scott. The state believes.
Hold on.
Okay.
Time out. Sorry. On line 2, Richard.
Oh shit! Yeah, I want the record.
And then
right.
Gieger is his asshole's gonna cut you off.
Okay, I want the record.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, Scott. The state believes that to go into those additional questions and force her to take the fifth is not a proper method of impeachment. She has not been convicted under 2609. Those are the items that counsel is able to go into, and he's not able to go into statements on an entirely collateral matter. She was in jail for the relevance of that event, a leading question.
Oh, you skipped a whole lot.
Oh, I did. Wow. Okay. Let me start. Wow.
This is actually confusing now.
I know, right? Okay, I'm going to start halfway at line 10.
Okay.
She was in jail for a probation violation. I agree with the court. Because of the relevance of that event, a leading question. That's not the only thing you were in jail for. You were also charged with making a false 911 call and giving false information. And I think she I think it's also a drug paraphernalia charge as well that's pending. But then to let him then to start asking questions about the detail and to force her to take the fifth is not proper.
Okay, because all of that was so confusing. Obviously, I mean, you could tell we were having a hard time reading it because it was just a big clusterfuck. So, um, excuse me. If you last week we showed a video of a news clip of the 911 video or 911 call that she made, and that's what Scott Adams is trying to bring in. When the two detectives went to visit Rosetta Grate in the first and second jailhouse interviews, they went to see her. The first time they went to interview her was August 27th of 2014. The day before that, August 26th, she had been arrested and put in jail because she was in a car that had been pulled over, and she was in the back seat of that car. When the officer pulled them over and walked up to the vehicle, Rosetta Grate in the back seat, excuse me, used her phone or a phone to call 911 to report a shooting that was occurring at her house at 633 Culbertson Street or whatever it is. So that's why she was in jail when they went to visit her on the 27th. That's what Scott Adams is trying to bring out, and Gieger is just being his normal dickhole self and making it difficult. It is completely relevant because it goes to her character, in my opinion, and I can't really say if it's impeachment. I don't know, Cherie, maybe you would have a different opinion, but I don't know if it's really impeachment because she didn't say why she was put in jail the day before on the August the 26th. She didn't say why. In fact, she kept dancing around it, and Gieger was not putting her in a position where she really had to answer it. They were just calling it a relapse, that she went to jail on the 26th of August 2014 because she relapsed. That may have been part of the part of why she was put in jail, but it wasn't. It wasn't the reason why she was put in jail. And you'll hear during sidebar that her attorney, Miss whatever, Fishborn or
French.
Fishbird or French, whatever the hell her name is, she's going to try to keep that testimony out as well. But that's what they're talking about. But neither one of these attorneys are, for whatever reason, they don't seem capable of forming logical sentences, comprehensible sentences.
I think Scott was trying to impeach her character more so than that she lied, but
than her credibility.
Because what she did was relevant to her truthfulness, because she lied, false.
Yeah.
But I think Bruce Wayne had a good way to word it that would have worked, more so than what Scott was doing. It would have got right to the point.
Yes, exactly. Are you talking about this one? Did you get arrested on an outstanding warrant and a false 911 call giving false info? Yeah, absolutely. Perfect, Bruce Wayne. And we wouldn't have wasted 5 minutes of your time trying to figure out what the hell they were talking about. Yeah, I wouldn't say that she's a train wreck necessarily. She's making herself sound like a train wreck. She's actually, believe it or not, very smart, very slick. And if you watch that video, that same video that we showed last week, we'll put it in the chat and you guys can go watch it later. But if you watch that video, Will Carter says that when the news shows up to to report this fake 911 call of a shooting at their address, because the cops show up there and they're like, who's shooting? Where's the shooting? And Will Carter's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Shooting? There ain't nobody shooting around, So she's very slick and very manipulative. Go ahead.
Kim Davis thought it was quite smart too.
Yeah, she did. She thought it was very clever. Yeah, which is just Kim Davis is talk about freaking train wrecks. That woman is anyway. So that's what they're trying to get out. And yes, you're right, Bruce. That would have been the most simple way. However, the judge is going to limit what Adams is going to be able to ask her, which, just for those of you who don't know, this judge is dirty. I've said it 1,000 times. If you haven't heard it, this judge was forced to step down from the bench several years ago because he had been accused of, quote unquote, serious sexual assault. So I'm just going to leave that there. But we'll put the link to that video, that 911 call news clip, into the chat so you guys can watch it later. And then, because I was telling well, you might hear this, I can't remember, but I was telling Richard and Jennifer what they were trying to read was making no sense because it didn't make sense. But once they watched the video, they would be like, oh, okay, now I get it. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to pause and explain that a little bit if it might help you guys at all. Thanks, Bruce, for your very concise question there. Form of the question. Okay, here we go.
Impeachment. And I'm going to object to that happening.
Again, I want the record to reflect that it is extremely crucial to the area of our defense, and I'm asking to be able to go into it. Maybe not into specific detail, but detail enough that the jury understands the nature of the allegations, other than just the name of the charge.
Well, because of the way it arose in direct examination, that's why I'm allowing you to ask the leading question about the charge that she was in jail for. I don't know what else may arise from your question, but I'm instructing you not to go into the details of the rest and what you believe the evidence will be, or what the police even believe the evidence to be on that. And Miss French, you can sit at the table at the front, or you can sit at the front and I'll tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. And Miss French, you can sit at the front and I'll tell the jury who you are.
You guys understand why this trial, besides all the corruption, is so fucking insane? Yeah. Nobody can make a freaking logical, clear sentence. God,
it is fucking hard to read these things now. Like, the other ones weren't so bad, but this one, he's just like everybody's all over the place in like crackhead mode.
Right?
And I'm the only crackhead. I'm starting to make more sense than the fucking attorneys at this point.
And that's a problem.
That's scary.
I'm seriously getting so scared right now.
But that is a lot of these kinds of things. You can find a lot of court cases where it's just so screwed up.
Yeah.
All right.
And well, just really quick. And so it kind of also gives you an idea. I mean, this is a sidebar, obviously, but even the regular testimony that the jury hears is like this. And, when we're talking about a 4-week-long trial and 13 different accusers with hundreds of pieces of evidence, how's the jury supposed to? Anyway, that's beside the point.
Well, I just think of it this way. I'd be like, if I was in the jury, I'd have been done with like day 2 or 3 if they're talking like this. I'd be like, I can't follow anything of this.
Right.
Yeah.
You're telling me that there was supposedly these drugs that had somehow been left in somewhere, but it's not theirs. You don't care. And I'm just like, what? Huh? So yeah, I'd be thrown off in the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'd be done. Just be like, these guys are morons.
Yeah. And sadly, he's in prison for 263 years.
God.
Regardless.
Okay.
Yeah, it's insane. And that was only on 18 out of the 36 counts. So Um, yeah, well, and Elaine Taylor, the crime lab analyst, she's going to testify also. Probably not for 2 more weeks report, but it might give you a little later. It might give you a little bit better understanding what we're talking about. After we're done reading, if you have like,
Retake the stand. You're still
after we're done reading, if you have like, whatever. But anyway,
Right.
so get back to line 10. Your Honor, may I have just a moment with her so that she understands where the rule lies?
deputy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 2-minute recess. That is Ms. French. She is Miss Grate's attorney. All right, Miss Grate, if you will retake the stand, you're still under oath. Miss French, you are welcome to sit there close to your client.
Thank you, Judge. I'll just sit here.
That'll be fine. Mr. Adams, you may proceed.
Back the day before you met Detective Davis, you talked to her in the Oklahoma County Jail, right? Wait, fuck. This guy's gonna fuck me up hard now. Back the day before you met Detective Davis, you talked to her in the Oklahoma County Jail. You were arrested on August 26, 2014 for making false 911 calls, obstructing an Oklahoma City police officer, and possession of drug paraphernalia, correct?
Yes.
Now, after that, that's why you were in jail. And there was some outstanding warrants for your arrest, correct?
Yes.
You had agreed back at a year prior to this to go into the drug diversion program here in Oklahoma County, correct?
Yes.
And in that drug diversion program, it's strictly monitored program, correct?
Yes.
And you continually violated the rules and conditions over there, correct?
Yes.
And they keep giving you chances trying to help you out, right?
Yes.
In any event, whenever you did talk to Detective Davis, you never told her about this route that you had testified here today. That Officer Holtzclaw going the wrong way on Jordan. You never talked about that, did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In the interview that you gave on August the 27th of 2014, you're testifying that you told Detective Davis that Officer Holtzclaw went the wrong way to Culverson to Jordan, correct?
In what?
Did you ever mention at all to Detective Davis back on August the 27th of 2014 that in your interaction with Officer Holtzclaw, he went the wrong way on Jordan?
That he was headed the wrong way. Yes.
Yes.
And that's why he turned around and...
Okay. It is your testimony here today that you did tell Detective Davis in that interview that he was going the wrong way on Jordan to get you to Culbertson.
I'm sure that I did. I don't know 100% if I did say that, but I did. That's what happened.
Again,
I don't know if I told her that he was going the wrong way at that moment, but I'm sure I did because that's what he was doing.
you would agree with me that in the preliminary hearing you did not talk at all about going the wrong way on Jordan, correct? And how that made you nervous.
I don't remember.
Okay. The first time that you've ever testified or ever talked about Officer Holtzclaw going south on Jordan the wrong way to Culverson is today. Would that be fair? Would that be a fair statement?
No, that's not the first time I've talked about it.
When was the first time you ever saw this Exhibit 208? Who showed that to you? This is the red line deal on the way to the Officer Holtzclaw to go to Culverson. Who showed that to you?
That was today. Him.
Have you ever been...
Sorry. This is just a proof, I guess you could say, or an example of how we are learning. We've been learning throughout this entire 4 years or more that we've been studying this. This was a perfect example of how we knew or were able to find out that the prosecutors were talking to these witnesses and not disclosing that to the defense. Does that make, I don't know if that made sense.
It
Right.
did.
Okay, because for her to, when she's saying that was today him, she's pointing at Gayland Gieger, the prosecutor. And anyway, just wanted to put that in there. So sorry, line 14.
Have you been talking to the Oklahoma City Police Department, to the DA's office about this case while it's been pending?
What do
Have you been having discussions?
I've told my side of the story. I don't know what you're asking.
Okay. Have you had meetings with the Oklahoma County DA's office?
Meetings?
Have you ever met with them down here at the courthouse and talked to them?
Down here?
Yes, down here, downtown.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here, talked to him. I don't know specifically what you're asking me.
Have you,
Have I been here and talked? Yes, I've talked to him today.
and before today?
Yesterday, when I was here yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. And before that?
Down here at the courthouse? No.
Yes. Well, did you talk?
Well, yeah. The pretrial thing.
Okay, you talked to the DA then too, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in your discussions with Detective Davis, you talk about that when you first come into contact with Officer Holtzclaw, that you had been smoking crack cocaine, correct?
Yes.
You were high?
I had been inhaling crack cocaine.
And you told Officer Holtzclaw that?
Yes.
And you told him that you were working out on the streets of Oklahoma, correct? Oklahoma City, correct?
Yes.
And that every time you were trying to get home, you kept getting picked up by the date.
Yes.
And what that means is that you were out there and every time you were trying to get home, but every time you tried to go home, someone would pick you up and pay you to perform sex acts, correct?
Yes.
And Officer Holtzclaw said, you don't need to be over here. This is not a good area.
I don't remember him specifically saying that.
Do you remember him asking, do you remember you asking him for a ride home and him telling you he'll take you home?
Yes.
Yes. Because you've done that in the past with other officers. You would ask them for a ride home and they had taken you home.
No, I did not ask for a ride home. One took me to detox, and then one took me to my brother's house, and he let me know that I needed to go home.
Okay, so you had obviously had rides by other members of the Oklahoma City Police Department. You didn't think that was unusual.
Right.
Okay, and you felt like Officer Holtzclaw was trying to help you get home where you'd been trying to go without having to pick up the other dates, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, he actually smashed a crack pipe for you, correct? Or you had smashed it?
I believe I smashed it.
Okay, in any event, he made you discard or get rid of the crack pipe,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
And you're over there on the 15th in Jordan. Do you know a girl named Tabitha Barnes?
I was on 15th and I was on 14th and
14th in Jordan. Do you know a lady that lives close to there by the name of Tabitha Barnes?
I might know her street name. I'm not for sure.
Do you know Tab? Is that a no?
No, I don't know a Tab. I may know her face. Do you have a picture of her?
I do. And I'll get that here in just a minute. Do you know a girl by the name of Florence Mathis?
I'm sorry, Richard. I need to have you read that again. The name is, I know it should be Florence, but it is.
Oh, shit. Florine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry. No, you're okay.
I do, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. Do you know a girl by the name of Florine Mathis?
That sounds familiar.
You would admit that where Officer Holtzclaw came into the contact with you, you talked about going to the ramp's house. That's the crack house.
Yes.
And you understand that crack houses, that's where people do drugs
Yes.
and buy drugs.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
There's more than just one over there in that area, correct? There's more than just
That's just the one I go to. I'm not for sure what's going on in the area for sure.
you talked about going to a different crack house at a different time, don't you? You testified the day that you met Officer Holtzclaw, you had been to the ramp house, to the crack house, and you were smoking, correct?
Correct.
And at a later date, when you saw Officer Holtzclaw, when you say you saw Officer Holtzclaw, you recall telling this jury that you were at a different crack house with a different guy named Eastside.
Yeah, it's not a crack house. It was just his house.
So you bought the crack from Eastside,
From another house
from a different,
down the street.
not Ram's house,
No,
a different house.
correct.
So my point was, is there more than just one crack house over there on the north side, correct?
Of course.
Okay. So in any event, after Officer Holtzclaw, we know for a fact he did take you home. He did he not?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that even in your state issue ID that you possessed at the time that you say that you had lost did not list the 633 Culverson as your residence?
Correct.
And you had no ID on you, correct?
And I had none.
You had no other ID on you at the time Officer Holtzclaw took you.
No, there's only one ID. There's only one Oklahoma State ID that I have.
And you didn't have that on you. You did not have it on you by the time you arrived at the residence on Culverson.
Correct.
And so Officer Holtzclaw did not escort you up to the front door, correct?
Well, stop. Wait, sorry. He did escort you.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. My wife.
That's
Give me
okay.
1 second. My wife is... I think,
No, take your
You-
time.
you okay, babe? With your boyfriend by the name of Willie, Claw did escort you up to the... Sorry, my wife. Give
That's
me
okay.
1 second. My wife is... All right, she's good.
Yeah,
Y'all ready?
just line 10, please.
And so Officer Holtzclaw did escort you up to the front door, correct?
Followed me up to the front door.
Followed you to the front door, and you clearly didn't think there was anything unusual about that because you had no ID showing you lived there, and you would think it would be reasonable for an officer to make sure, in fact, you really did live there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I didn't think about it through his eyes, but yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
You told him at that point that you lived there with your boyfriend by the name of Willie.
Yes.
Now, you would agree with me that Willie is not the registered owner of the house at 633 Culverson either, is he?
Relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. No
Just
cheating.
we're just gonna do it.
All right. If you can answer, excuse me, I'll start again. All right. If you can answer if you know.
Yes.
Overruled.
Are you telling
33 Culbertson Drive.
And who were you living with?
Will Carter.
calls the phone call that have you been talking to not the registered owner of the house at 633 Culverson either, is he?
Relevance, Your Honor.
Sorry, I just want to ask, I don't think we talked about this when we recorded this last night, but um, so Gieger says relevance, Your Honor, and the court says, all right, if you can answer if you know. The witness says yes, and then the court says overruled. What the hell? I mean, what does that, is that not sound right to anybody else, or am I thinking something different? Cherie?
That I'm overruling on your objection of relevance. That he thinks it is relevant, I guess.
Sorry, you for some reason had dropped out of.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So, what was your opinion on that? I'm sorry.
Well, the prosecutor said relevance, Your Honor, and then he let her answer, and then the judge said that he doesn't agree with the prosecutor, that it's irrelevant. But Bruce Wayne said it's a bit backwards the way it was done.
Yeah, maybe that's what. Yeah, I mean, yeah, overruled was the right answer, but the right decision, but of course, in our opinion, but it just seemed weird that he would tell her to answer and then say that it's overruled, because what if he had sustained the objection? Then he's got to tell the jury, strike that answer from the blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it was bizarre. It was bizarre. Okay, just wanted to bring that up. And sorry, when I tried to pause it, it took it all the way back to the beginning. But I found us. I know where we're at. We're good.
Overruled.
No,
I'm sorry.
no.
Just
No
overruled.
cheating.
We're just gonna do it.
All right. If you can answer, excuse me, I'll start again. All right. If you can answer if you know.
Yes.
Overruled.
Are you telling this jury that Willie is the registered owner?
No, Willie's not the registered owner, but he lives and he pays all the bills there. She's passed away. His people's passed away.
Since who passed away?
I'm bad with how you say his people passed away.
At any time did this house at 633 Culberton, to your knowledge, ever go through any probate that allowed Willie to live at this home?
Relevance.
Overruled.
What is probate?
Did it go through any legal proceeding of any kind, this house?
No, he pays the back taxes on it, or the taxes on it, a year.
So all I'm asking is whether or not you have any information whatsoever, whether or not this house has been through any legal proceedings at all.
No, it has not. I do not. It has not been up through no legal proceedings.
So some lady had died and Willie was staying there, correct?
That was his friend, and she passed away. Correct.
And at the time that you had this altercation with Officer Holtzclaw, Willie, you had a room at the house, you and Willie?
He's not any better than fucking Gieger. Jesus. Yes.
And it was Will Carter. And is it Will Carter?
Will Carter.
Okay, I'll call him Mr. Carter.
Thank you.
You and Mr. Carter lived at that residence, correct?
Yes.
Prior to your contact with Officer Holtzclaw, hold up. Prior to your contact with Officer Holtzclaw, you and Mr. Carter actually slept in the same bedroom.
Yeah, we have been in the same bedroom.
Okay. Was he charging you rent at the time?
Will?
Yes.
No.
Okay, but at some point, in the time between you stayed with Will, Mr. Carter, in his bedroom, and to the time that you ran into Officer Holsclaw on this particular day, you and Mr. Carter had some sort of disagreement about you doing drugs and relapsing, and you had to move into a different room.
Yeah, he just didn't want me sleeping in the same bed with him. He was angry at me.
He didn't want you to stay in the same bed with you.
He didn't want me to sleep in He didn't want to sleep in the same bed with me. He was angry at me.
Mr. Carter was angry at you.
Yes.
Prior to you ever even talking to Mr. Officer Holtzclaw?
Yes. Prior? Yes. Yes.
Okay, so Officer Holtzclaw, under the version of events, walks into the house, and again, there's nothing in the first floor that identifies you as living there. Would that be a fair statement?
Correct.
Okay. And then you take him upstairs. You're saying this is Mr. Carter's bedroom.
Yes.
And this is my bedroom.
Right.
And it's your testimony at that point in time that you sat on the bed that you've identified.
No, he asked me to sit on the bed.
Okay. Whether he asked you or whatever, you sat on the bed, correct?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
At that time, and that's what you identified as your bedroom, correct?
Yes.
This is 215 for the record.
Correct.
This is the same bed that you're saying these activities between you and Officer Holtzclaw
Yes.
occurred, correct?
Yes.
The bed had not changed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now under your version of events, you say that you sat on the edge of the bed that Officer Holtzclaw, without saying anything more to you, or he did. Let me try that again. Okay, now under your version of events, you say that you sat on the edge of the bed that Officer Holtzclaw, without saying any more to you, or did he say that this is a lot better than the county, correct?
Not correct. He asked me to sit on the bed, and he said this is a lot better than the county.
Okay, under your version of events, he asked you to sit on the bed, and he told you this is better than the county, correct?
Yes.
Then under your version of events, he unzips his pants, does not remove his gun belt or anything, but then, and I believe I'm using your words, he inserted a ram. Did you say ram?
Inserted.
He inserted his penis into your mouth, correct?
Yes.
You said that you said that lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
Now, when you were having this discussion with Detective Davis at the county jail, you told him that it was kind of dirty and you kept wiping your mouth and you were getting hair and saliva. Correct?
Uh-huh.
Do you recall telling her that?
Yes.
At that time, you would wipe it down on the bed frame or on the wood frame around the bed, correct?
Uh-huh. Correct.
Are you agreeing with me?
And on the chair.
And you would also wipe it on the plastic covering that covers the mattress on the bed that we're looking at in Exhibit 215, correct?
On the plastic covering?
You talk in your interview with Detective Davis back on August the 27th of 2014. You talk about wiping your mouth after you gave Officer Holtzclaw head, and then you would wipe it on the plastic covering this mattress, correct?
I wiped it on the bed and on the chair. I don't know.
You wiped it.
I don't specifically remember. That's all I'm saying. I just don't specifically remember saying that it was on a plastic covering. But if I did, then that's what I said at the moment. Right now, I know that what I'm saying is on the bed or on the chair. That was...
You were telling Detective Davis that you were wiping hair and saliva on the bed, on the frame, and all over the place, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after you told her those things, you also told her he then had you lay back and have sex with you, correct?
Correct.
meaning intercourse?
Yes.
Again, Officer Holsclaw, under your version of events, never undid his gun belt or never undid his belt and dropped his pants or anything. He simply did it through his zipper, correct?
Yes.
You're agreeing with me.
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying that while this was occurring, you're laying back on the bed that we're looking at in Exhibit 215, and Officer Holsclaw is standing up, correct?
When he was having sex with,
When he was when he's allegedly having intercourse with you.
no, he got on top of me.
Okay, and that was my next question. And so what had to happen was Officer Holsclaw actually got, under your version of events, got on top of you on the bed with all of his clothes and his gun and everything on and had intercourse with you, correct?
Yes, in like push-up position. God.
And wherever you... This is getting really fucking weird, but I see where he's trying to head with this. I think.
Yeah. You know.
And whenever you had this interview with Detective Davis, you were absolutely sure that he ejaculated or came during this encounter, correct?
No, I did not say I was absolutely sure.
Do you deny the fact that you were told shit? Do you deny the fact that you told her on 2 previous occasions in this interview that he ejaculated during the intercourse with you?
No, I have never been 100% sure that he ejaculated. So I did not say I was 100% sure ever.
Did you talk about the pre-com with Detective Davis?
Yeah, I have.
And you said at least there's some pre-com for sure. You don't recall that.
Yeah.
And you told her that on this pre-cum, or the ejaculation, that you took a rag and you wiped your vagina with it and you threw it in the closet, correct?
Yes.
Then what happens is later on, you call back from the county jail about a week later and you tell Detective Davis that it's crucial for her to look for the chair in the room because there would be DNA on the chair, correct?
There could be, yes.
Are you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Then you've described to the entire bedroom and how that you needed to look at the bed, correct? And then you told her specifically to go into these drawers that were seen depicted in 2015 on the left-hand side, that you think you might have placed the rag that you wiped your vagina with in one of these drawers, correct?
No.
You deny that you ever said anything like that.
Yes. I knew I wiped and I threw it in the closet.
Did you ever specifically tell Detective Davis to take a look at any of those drawers, or more particularly the third drawer of the dresser, for anything?
What'd you say?
Did you specifically, a week after your initial discussion with Detective Davis, did you call Detective Davis back from county jail to talk to her?
Yes.
And you were talking to her about where they could find some DNA, correct?
Yes.
You talked to her about there being possibly 9 drawers on the top part of that curio that we see on the left-hand side?
That there was 9 drawers?
Do you describe the closet to Detective Davis in this telephone interview?
Well, Cherie, what telephone interview is he talking about? These things pop up from time to time and it makes us question things. So sorry. Line 4. No, I don't describe the closet. I just tell her I threw the rag in there, the closet.
Do you ever talk about any drawers being in your closet that we do not see on number 215?
I'm not for sure if I brought that up. I don't know why I would.
Were there drawers in your closet at the time that you say this alleged assault occurred?
Was there what?
Drawers.
Yes, there. Sorry.
It's funny to me. It was very accurate. You did a great job, but it was just funny to me.
I can feel like he's getting irritated because she's trying to play stupid.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Because she has very selective memory, and when she wants to remember, or when she says, "Was there what?" or whatever these random responses, she's like trying to think of a good answer to give back. But anyway, that's beside the point. Okay, line 14. Yes. Oh shit. I just pushed a button on my fucking mic.
You good?
Oh well. Can you hear me okay still?
Oh yeah, we can hear you actually. Great.
Okay. Line 14. Yes, there's
Things that you can pull out of and put things into.
it's built in.
In the closet.
Yes.
Okay. Did you specifically tell Detective Davis to look into those drawers for the rag?
No, I don't remember specifically saying look in those drawers for this rag.
Okay. Did you specifically tell her to focus on the chair and the rag and the closet?
Yes.
And did you tell her that just in case you move the rag, it could be in the second or third drawer next to your bed? Did you tell her that?
I don't remember specifically saying that about my drawers next to the bed. I meant I might have said that. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's you.
I think we all need drugs of some type today.
Definitely. What do you mean today?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay,
right,
I'll
go
start
ahead.
on line 4 again. I don't remember specifically saying that about my drawers next to the bed. I meant I might have said that. No, I don't remember saying that.
You don't remember saying that. And again, to be fair with you, number 214, which has been admitted into state's evidence, again, is the bed where you say all this activity took place, correct?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And do you recall Mr. Geiger asking if you had ever reported this to anyone in law enforcement? And your exact answer was, what am I going to tell them? Do you recall giving that answer in front of this jury?
Sounds like something I would say.
What am I going to tell them?
Yeah.
Well, at the point in time, you say all of this evidence had happened. Did you ever think you
No.
could have called the...
Sorry.
What?
You say all these events had happened.
Oh,
Not evidence.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, at the point in time, you say all these events had happened. Did you ever think you could have called the police and say, you've just got raped by an Oklahoma City police officer and I've got DNA all over the place? Did you ever think about that?
No, I wasn't. Was not my focus.
That wasn't your focus?
No.
Then you had just been allegedly raped by a member of the Oklahoma City Police Department. And at the time you say you had DNA all over the bed and all over the rag in your closet, you didn't think to tell somebody that?
Asked and answered.
Overruled.
No, I didn't think to tell anybody that because that's not how I was looking at it through those eyes. I was looking at it through, I just had sex in my home with a police officer, that I lived there with my man, and I've offended that situation. I've disrespected, my home's been disrespected. And then now, that's how I'm thinking about it. I didn't think about when I wiped that was why, because I knew Will would could show up any minutes. I didn't know how to handle that. The main focus that I was thinking of was the disrespect, and this has just taken place in my home. So no, I was not at that point. I was not in my frame of mind like that to
think that I was not thinking that myself like that at all at that moment in my life.
My only point was, Miss Great, was if in fact these events, as you say they are an issue, is true,
They are.
you could have called anybody in 911 and said, not only was I raped by an Oklahoma City police officer, that I have DNA all over the place in my room, correct?
Yeah,
Are you agreeing with me? Yes?
I could have if I was in that mind frame.
Okay, were you not in the mind frame because you were under the influence of crack cocaine?
And have been prostituting my body.
What does prostituting your body, does that also mess with your reasoning or thinking ability?
And my worthiness of how I feel about myself. Yes, it does.
Okay, now in regards to talking to Detective Davis, when she asked you whether or not these events were consensual that you said happened with Officer Holtzclaw, you said they weren't consensual because no money had exchanged hands.
Correct.
So are you telling this jury that if Officer Holtzclaw had paid you that you would not have made a report?
That if he paid me, I mean, I'm a prostitute selling my body for crack.
Okay.
So if you're not paying me, I mean, I don't want it, point blank. It's what it is. I don't know how else to make that clear.
Now, also, Mr. Geiger talked to you about, I'm sorry, what's the name again?
Gigger.
Gieger. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Now, also, Mr. Gieger talked to you about the people that you said that you've talked to about this, or you told about this, and you said that you talked to Eastside, but we don't know his real name, correct?
Right.
And Eastside's the individual you said after these events had happened, you went to another crack, you bought crack from Eastside, whatever. You were with Eastside.
No, you're asking me, did I buy crack from Eastside? We just went over this, and I said we bought crack at another house, and then we went to Eastside's house. That's what I said a while ago, and I'm saying again now.
Where does Eastside live?
Off of 16th and Highland.
Okay. And that's when you allegedly saw Officer Holtzclaw. He said, hey.
Yelling out, hey, or something like.
And you certainly didn't call any police officers at that point in time, did you?
No, I was looking at the ground. I had crack in my hand, fixing to go smoke some crack. I was looking at the ground. I see this situation going on. I'm already in another situation. Only thing I'm doing is get in the back outhouse and smoke some crack and get away from the situation. Whoops.
Well, also, Mr. God damn it, Gieger. Yeah.
You can say it however you want to.
I'm just trying not to mess that up because I mean, I want to say Geiger, but it's not a thing.
Because that's how it's spelled, but it rhymes with the N word. Just try to remember that, right? Right, no. Jennifer?
Correct.
No. Well, also, Mr. Gieger asked you who else you complained to Officer Holtzclaw about. And you stated that you talked to your father about it, correct?
Okay, what's the question?
Mr. Gieger also asked who else you talked to about Officer Holtzclaw and complained to about. And you said that you complained to your father.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You also complained to some detention officers at the Oklahoma County Jail, did you not? When you were picked up on that false 911 call?
No, that was previously before the 911 call, and it was in July.
Well,
I got picked up in July on something else. And so I went in there, I was high, and I don't remember. So when she had came and pulled me out my cell for the investigators, she was telling me about that. That's why I brought that up, because I I was saying that, but I was underneath the influence and I don't remember saying that. But she's like, I was yelling. But she's like, I was yelling. I was raped by a police officer, and she knows that I was telling the truth.
She does? Well, you and... Okay, here, let's do that. I thought that was your part, my bad.
I know, that's weird.
She does? Well, and you understand, you do know what her name is.
It was not Tisdale.
Tisdale is a detention officer down at Oklahoma City Jail?
Yeah, I know. It was her and Tisdale was together all the time.
How about Hornbeck?
Hornbeck.
So Hornbeck, actually what Hornbeck says is that when you came in on your arrest on 9/11, sorry. So Hornbeck, actually what Hornbeck says is that when you came in on your arrest for 911 is what you were in screaming and yelling about the officer who had brought you down for 911. What the fuck? I'm sorry.
You're okay.
How is he trying to loop back 5 different times on the same thing here? Okay, I'm just being
like I
hyperbolic,
said, once you listen to that news clip later, this will make a little bit more sense to you.
Okay.
But that's besides.
Let me try this again here. I'm not following. So Hornbeck, actually what Hornbeck says is that when you came in on your arrest for 911 is when you were screaming and yelling about the officer who brought you down for the 911. Do you recall that?
Hearsay.
All right, I'm going to sustain as to the form of the question.
Okay. Do you recall when you were arrested on the 911 call on August 26th of 2014, getting taken down to the Oklahoma County Jail?
I'm just going to say that's what she said. I don't remember what time it was. I'm assuming it was the July one. Whether it was the July one or when I got had the arrest for my arrest on top of the 911 call to get out the situation.
I'm just asking if you will recall when you were transported down to the Oklahoma City County Jail on August the 26th of 2014 under arrest for placing a fake 911 call. Do you recall that? This would have been the day before you met with Detective Davis. Do you recall any of that?
I don't know exactly what you're asking.
I'm asking you, do you recall anything about being arrested for the fake 911 call and being transported down to the Oklahoma County Jail? Do you recall that happening on August the 26th of 2014?
Do I remember anything about that situation?
Do you remember anything at all, period, about that day?
Some.
No. Ow. Sorry, I had to cough. No. Is that what you just said?
I said, what?
Do you, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I possibly can with you. Do you recall the interview with Detective Davis on August 27th of 2014? The first time you had ever talked about Officer Holtzclaw?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the day before that when you were arrested for making a fake 911 call?
I mean, you need to ask specifically, are you asking me to recall? That's what I'm.
Do you recall the cuffs being placed on you when you were under arrest for making a fake 911 call by a patrol officer? Do you recall that? No?
Need to answer out loud, ma'am.
No.
Okay. Do you recall when you arrived at the Oklahoma County Jail on August the 26th of 2014, complaining to anyone about the arresting officer in that case? Yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
Miss Grate, You have an extensive criminal history, do you not? Yes or no?
Yes.
You would agree with me that you are a convicted felon for larceny from a retailer. You would agree with me that you were a convicted felon for larceny from a retailer, stealing from a retailer?
I have what's
Your Honor, before you answer, ma'am, can I approach?
Come up.
Your Honor, the conviction sheet he's asking about occurred in 2000. I would object to that as being outside the last 10 years. There's another conviction in 2002 for CDS.
Let me start with that one. She was convicted in 2000, and what was the sentence?
What was that?
How long was the sentence?
Judge, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Here's the problem. It starts in 2000, Judge, and it just goes on and on and on. And I was just trying to get her to agree that she was, but she just sits there and wants to play games. So I'm going to go through it.
In 2000, it was 1 year to do, Your Honor.
If the probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect. Fuck.
Prejudicial.
Words are hard.
I know.
If the probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect, anything over 10 years, and I don't know if her sentence was completed or not, but all I'm asking her is go back to that one. I'll just go forward. I'm not going to go back any further than 2000.
Hold on a second, Court. Hold on a second, Cherie.
Okay.
I don't want you guys to go back and correct it, but I think the word they're saying is prejudicial. I think.
Prejudicial. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess that would be it. Yeah. Prejudicial.
Gotcha.
That makes more sense. Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Cherie.
Are you reading something or?
I'm sorry, Judge. My recollection is that she was 7 prior convictions. The earliest one is in 2000. It was a 1 year sentence. The second one was 2002, but it was an 8-year sentence. So in theory, she would still be within the 10-year realm on that one. So that would make 6 prior convictions within that 10 years and 7 within.
All right, within 10 years.
Okay. And I'm asking to be allowed to go back to her initial. It doesn't prevent it from coming in. I'm asking that the probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect by allowing me to go back when she first started picking up felony charges just to show her character. I'm allowed to attack her character and her bias.
Okay, not the 2000.
Okay. Do you recall being convicted of a felony offense of receiving stolen property, identify theft as possession of marijuana back?
Identity theft. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, that's good. That should be hit. Yeah. Do you recall being convicted of a felony offense of receiving stolen property, identity theft, and possession of marijuana back in 2002?
yes.
Do you recall being convicted of the offense of engaging in lewdness back in 2006?
Yes.
Your Honor, I believe that's a misdemeanor.
It's a crime involving moral turpitude, Your Honor.
Still a misdemeanor.
Sustained.
May I approach?
Come up.
Your Honor, a misdemeanor court involving moral turpitude, which engaging in an act of lewdness is admissible, and I think I'd be allowed to get into that.
All right. Why are you saying that a crime simply involving moral turpitude is admissible under 2609?
It's involving the dishonesty or false statement, Your Honor, which I believe engaging in an act of lewdness is.
All right. Sustained.
Do you recall being convicted back in 2006 of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, felony offenses, possession of CDS, cocaine and obstructing an officer in the performance of his duties. Do you recall that?
Your Honor, again, obstruction is not a felony.
Sustained as to the third conviction.
Okay. Well, do you recall being convicted of the felony offenses, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and possession of controlled dangerous substance, cocaine?
Yes.
Yes. Do you recall being convicted of 2007 of possession of a controlled dangerous substance, cocaine?
Yes.
Do you also recall being convicted of a different case in 2007, possession of a controlled dangerous substance, cocaine?
Yes.
Do you also recall being convicted of in 2013 here in Oklahoma County on a felony offense, possession of controlled dangerous substance, cocaine?
Yes.
Do you recall being convicted of 2013 in a different case here in Oklahoma County for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, possession of controlled dangerous substance, cocaine, and felony attempting to elude?
Yes.
And then, so you have all these felony convictions and you're currently facing charges in regards to another
Objection to pending cases, Your Honor.
felony today, correct?
Okay, overruled on that. You can answer that.
What was the question again?
You are also currently facing felony charges as we sit here today. A new case, correct?
Yes.
And this is an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, aggravated attempting to elude a police officer.
Yes.
Now, you are aware that a search warrant, which issued under there and the residence where you reside at 633 Culverson Drive?
That search warrant was issued?
That a search warrant was...
You mean that they went, yes.
After you had your discussions with Detective Davis, in this case, a search warrant was issued for items that you told her about 633 Culverson Drive.
Yes.
Has anyone from law enforcement, the DA's office, or anyone told you the results of the analysis
No.
of any of those?
No.
So you have no idea where they are?
No. Oh, sorry. Well, Jesus. Sorry. I'm just trying to talk.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Redirect?
Just give me 1 second, Judge. I just have one question. I want to make sure, Ms. Grate, this map that you put into evidence today was the very first day that I showed you that, correct?
Yes.
Object to the form, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. Was today the first day I showed you this?
Yes.
Hadn't seen it before?
No.
Hadn't talked about it before?
No.
That's all.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You'll be remanded to the custody of the Oklahoma County Sheriff.
And scene.
Really?
Jesus.
Or whatever. That's it.
Jesus
Yep.
Christ. What?
Okay, I'll spare you the our chatter afterwards. We were pretty tired by this point and just kind of exhaling and ranting and whatever. You don't need, I mean, it was basically nothing. But anyway, so that is the trial testimony of Rosetta Grate in her particular case. I was, Joffrey asked the question, was Daniel convicted on the charges of this accuser? So Daniel received 2 charges from Rosetta Grate's accusations. One was whatever the name of the oral sodomy charge is, and the other was rape. He was found not guilty on the oral sodomy, but found guilty of the rape, and he received 20 years for that charge. Now, we haven't got to it yet, but we will, not next weekend, but I think the weekend after. The crime lab analyst, Elaine Taylor, is going to testify in Rosetta's case. But I'll just give you, we'll read the transcript, but I'm just going to give you the heads up right now that there was no DNA found whatsoever. And I think I mentioned this last week. There was absolutely no DNA found from Daniel, belonging to Daniel, in anywhere in this house on any of the evidence that they collected and tested. None. Yet he was charged and he was convicted of the charge that only that kind of evidence can prove, right? I mean, there wouldn't necessarily have been any evidence for oral sodomy necessarily. I mean, she did say she, wiped her mouth after he, allegedly orally sodomized her. And she wiped that, I guess, on the chair or on the bed frame or what the hell ever she says. But it's just one more reason to add to why this case is so insanely outrageous. It's just another reason why. And even if you want to believe, and listen, everyone knows my opinion. I believe 100% Daniel's innocent, and I believe 100% that the detectives, that everybody, all of the detective supervisors, all of them, the judge, the DA, the prosecutors in this case I believe they're all dirty. They're all dirty. They're all criminally corrupt. And that's my belief based on the years of research and studying documents that Sharia and I have done. That's what I believe. You don't have to believe that, especially those of you who are newer to the case. But I guarantee you, if you go back and listen to the beginning of the Inside the Wrongful Conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw series, go back to the very beginning with Janie Liggins and Terry Morris. Janie Liggins, who started the whole shit show, what do they call her? What's the word, Cherie? I'm looking. She's the not pinch hitter. What's the word I'm looking for?
Prototype. I don't know. I can't think.
Oh, the linchpin. Is
there
that
you
the right
go.
word?
That's a better word.
Okay. She's the one who started all of this with her false allegation. Just when you go back to that very first and second and third episodes of this series, there was also no DNA evidence belonging to Daniel involved in her case. Yet he was again found guilty on all of the charges for Janie Liggins, 2 charges, and sentenced to 21 years. And there was no freaking evidence except for her fucking words. It's incomprehensible to me. And so, all the people who want to say he did this, there's all this evidence, there is no fucking evidence. None. And so, we'll get to the DNA crap, that in a future case that's coming up, or a future accuser who's coming up. But this is just insanity to me, and it's so infuriating to us. So I kind of wanted to go through we went through these slides last week. Hopefully the one that I just added is going to be there. I don't know if you can add a slide to something while it's in the whatchamacallit, but I tried. So let's see. There's the chair, the alleged chair. This is not, uh, let's see. Oh, it didn't add it. Damn it. Let's see if I take that out and then redo it, what it'll happen. Because I wanted to show you um, the one exhibit 208 that they were talking about during direct examination. Oh, I think I'm probably going to have to close it. Let's see, Control save. All right, let's see if this will work now. Hopefully that worked. So they were talking about exhibit 208, and Gieger was telling her, now this is just an overhead Google map, a Google Earth or whatever. Oh, damn it, it didn't add it. I think Cherie's got one in here that's not exactly the one I wanted to use, but it will.
Are you talking about his uniform?
No, okay, so I don't know why it's not adding it. It's whatever. We'll figure it out. But the slide that they were, or the picture that they were talking about, exhibit 208, is, and this is in 2014-15. The trial took place in 2015. So there's no reason to think that, there's every reason to believe that, they should have been able to get a better picture than this. I'm going to see if it'll work this way. But instead of showing like a real picture or a real, I don't know what you want to call it.
Like a Google map,
Yeah. Because I've been, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. Can they see it in the chat? I know that sometimes.
Well, it was showing. Now we can. Yeah. Now it's coming back. It's kind of not all that clear, but it's
well, it's that. Thank you. That's my point exactly. So in the chat, will you let Cherie know if you guys can see this picture on your YouTube screens? Nobody's responding. I can see it, but okay, good. You can see it. All right. Joffrey says he can see it. So this is the picture, the Google Map picture that Gieger showed to what's her name? Grate. I've gone in and I've done some, just so that people can see what he's talking about. Right over here, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but right over here where it says assault occurred 633 Culbertson Drive on 4/27 of 2014. I put a little red dot there where the house was. Then he talks about this little red line that he's talking about when he's telling her about it. I've traced that line. I've put in my own lines here because it's really hard to see. And I've darkened it a little bit even. And you still can't see it. Over here is where the stop was initiated. The Terry stop was initiated over here on 14th Street and Jordan. Now, that's where, sorry, it gets worse. It's harder to see the closer I get with it. But so over here is where it starts. The Terry starts. This street above it, right up here, that this little hand is going over, that is 14th or 15th Street and Jordan Avenue. This going north and south is Jordan Avenue. This street right here is 14th Street, and the street above it, obviously, is 15th Street. Right on this corner of 15th Street is where Tabitha Barnes, the trap house, that's where it is right there on that corner. So, I mean, you guys can, first of all, he used the shittiest possible Google map that he could. I said Google, and my phone's, how can I help you? I don't want your help, but thanks for asking. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it was just infuriating to me that that they used the worst possible Google map, Google aerial map that they could, because I've made, granted, in 2000 20, 21, 22, I've made really good Google map, Google Earth pictures, but they use these really shitty ones when I know a police department in 2014-15 had to have had, I would assume, much better capabilities than just this. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. So this is okay. So this is, I haven't colored this one yet, but this is where the stop occurred. The Terry stop occurred. Was right up here in this area. Again, this is, oh, I'm showing you guys something you can't see. Sorry. I'm pointing at stuff and you guys are like, what the hell is she doing? But let's see here. Let me get to it so I can not look like such a silly person. Let's see if that'll show now. Anyway, let me stop sharing that and let me try to do this instead. I think those other pictures that I just added might have uploaded in finally. Anyway, they used the worst possible audio, the worst possible pictures that they could possibly use, and they just look like a bunch of idiots. But let's see if those other two loaded in. I think they did. No, they didn't. Well, shit, never mind. I'll show it to you next time. Anyway, so they could have used better pictures is my point. They didn't. And they did that purposely. And I don't know that it was purposely intended for the witnesses, the accusers, as much as it was to just kind of make the jury believe that they had all this evidence when they really didn't have anything, if that makes sense. So there was that. And then I also had a picture that I don't know if it'll show up here or not, but because apparently nothing's going to. Cherie, the picture of the uniform. I want to show you guys, and it's already been alluded to in the chat by several of you who have talked about the uniform that Daniel would have been wearing. And I wonder if I do it this way, if it'll work. So every single one of these accusers go on and on and on about how, how he just whipped his penis out of his zipper and started assaulting these women. All of them do that. And the thing is that it was completely impossible for that to have happened. Chat, let me know if you can see this. I know I can. I think Cherie probably can.
Yes.
But I want to. You can? Okay. It's showing on the screen, so hopefully you guys can see it too. But this is just a picture of the different things that Daniel has on or had on under his uniform. So he had compression shorts. Number one is the big one, is the most important one, because those compression shorts, they are, there's no fly in them. There's no fly in his compression shorts. So he's wearing his compression shorts and his socks, and then he has on his t-shirt underneath, or in this particular picture, a tank top, and then he has the uniform shirt on. On top of the uniform shirt, rather at the bottom, I guess, at the tail of the uniform shirt, which is fairly long already. Daniel was 6'3". He has a pair of what are called, I think they're called shirt stays, or something to that effect. But what's that?
Yeah, if you look at number 6 down here, it says stirrup style shirt stays.
Oh, yeah, there's a little, yeah. Okay, there you go. Cherie's much quicker on the uptake than me. So anyway, yes, he has this. So those basically attach to the shirt tail of his uniform shirt, this, and he loops them down around under, onto his feet, under his feet. And then when he puts his boots on, that keeps his shirt tucked in. So, and then he's got, of course, he's going to have his vest on. I don't know what kind of vest he had. I don't know if it went over his groin or not. I haven't been able to find that out for sure. But even if it didn't, he's still got that on. And then when you talk, and then he's got a belt on, he's got all this stuff. And then when these women are just talking about how he just willy-nilly whips it out and, whips his penis out and either puts it in their mouth or rapes them or whatever they accused him of. When you look at what he was wearing, even the most suspect mind, I would think, would know that that's just not possible. It's just not possible, especially with no fly in the compression shorts. And it's illogical, unreasonable. And I'm not a man. I've never worn compression shorts. But it seems downright impossible to me that he just unzipped his fly, didn't undo his belt, didn't undo his pants, didn't drop his pants, unzipped his zipper on his uniform pants, and then just whipped his penis out of a no-fly pair of compression shorts. Sorry, go ahead, Sherry.
I don't think Rosetta emphasized it just popped out as much as some of the other accusers, but I think she would have commented on how long it took, because that's probably not her typical, somebody dressed like that is probably not her typical customer.
Right.
So
for sure.
It's another mark in Daniel's favor.
Yeah, and you're right, Cherie, she didn't say at all that but it didn't get brought up either. I think it was a failure on defense counsel's part to not ask about that.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to, because he kind of went that way, but he must have forgot or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Sheila says that my husband works in a very cold place, layers of clothes. It takes him a few minutes to strip when he gets home. Of course. It's just, again, it's just infuriating that the case was presented the way it was, not very well defended, in my opinion. And then, his appeal was practically automatically, I don't want to say that because it's not really true, but his appeal was basically denied out of hand. Like, nope. One of the reasons was insufficient assistance of counsel, of course. And then, I mean, that's just typical usually in a case that's lost. But uh, but there's also, and it's in my Discord. I don't remember which document it is, but there's a document where, was it six forensic whatever, forensic scientists. I can't even think right now.
Oh, wrote the paper?
Yeah. Will you talk about that? Because you will explain it much better than
Well, I don't know. I haven't read it in a long time. The main point I got out of it, what they talked about the DNA, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That it was such a minute amount that it was more likely than not, way more likely than not, it was just touch DNA. Like when you touch something, there's a good chance your DNA is going to be left on it. Like he was going through one of the accuser's purse, and so touching her stuff in her purse could have very well been where that little tiny amount of DNA came from. If it was from what they claim it was, it should be way more. That's what I got from it.
Right. Yeah.
And then, after he later goes to the bathroom later that night, that touched his finger, it was on his fingers. So
yeah. Yep.
Transfer.
Exactly. Transfer DNA, touch DNA. And Cherie kind of joked about it last week, I think, in the chat, or vocally, I don't remember, but that in Oklahoma City, there's no such thing as touch or transfer DNA, according to shit dickhole ADA Gayland Gieger.
And Kim Davis.
And Kim Davis, yes.
Yeah.
They both
we don't have that in our cases, she said.
Yeah, they don't have any touch or transfer DNA in her cases that she's ever investigated. It's just insanity. It's ridiculous and infuriating. And yet, for whatever reason, we cannot seem to get. Okay, let me just say this before I get too out there in the weeds. Daniel does have a good attorney. And they are working on his post-conviction relief right now. I believe they're asking for an evidentiary hearing, if I'm not mistaken. If not, probably just a downright, vacate the case. But that's never going to happen. We know that's never going to happen. And, there's no guarantee that a post-conviction relief case will ever go before a judge, and even if it does, the likelihood of them getting a new trial or an evidentiary hearing, it's really hard to say. There is a new DA now in Oklahoma City, so let me just kind of step back just a bit. Her name is Vicky Bahena. And she is she's a wrongful conviction advocate. One of her own sons, or her own son, was wrongfully convicted of some military crime or something. I don't remember what it was, but he was eventually exonerated. And so she is a big advocate for wrongful convictions. And boy, did she ever get watch my language. I've said enough bad words. Did she get a buttload of wrongful conviction cases to handle in Oklahoma City? It's ridiculous. If any of you watch Uncivil Law, any of you in the chat watch Uncivil Law, Kurt, he just did a read through of a Supreme Court case that comes out of Oklahoma City on a case. It's called Andrew
V. White.
Andrew v. White, Brenda Andrew. It's 2001 murder for hire case. Kurt did an excellent job reading through this Supreme Court. The thing about this that he read through on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. It just came down Thursday or Friday. The Supreme Court was so I don't know, Cherie, disgusted, I guess,
Yeah.
or disgusted. The Supreme Court, SCOTUS, was so disgusted by this particular part of that murder for hire case. They didn't even want oral argument. They didn't ask for oral arguments. They didn't hear oral arguments. They just wrote a decision. That's how bad that particular part of that case was from Oklahoma City. And
It was shaming. It was very shaming to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals.
yeah, that's right. SCOTUS was really kicked OCCA's asses over how shameful. That's the right word,
I
Cherie.
think he called it bench slap or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kurt, yeah, Kurt. You guys know how colorful Kurt is. It was really great. Cherie was impressed by, she went and listened to what Kurt had to say and what he read through, and she was impressed by the way he covered it, the way he interpreted it, and the fact that how surprising and rare, like Kurt says, rare for SCOTUS to hand down a decision without hearing any oral argument. So anyway, I'm getting way up. Basically, my point is, it was another Oklahoma City wrongful conviction. Well, it's not a wrongful conviction, but it's a bad case out of Oklahoma
Unfair
City.
trial is really
Yeah.
I mean,
The ADA who prosecuted that case for Bob Macy, who was the DA at the time, she was the ADA, and her name is Fern Smith.
I think so.
She's on the Brady list, so there you go with that. Anyway, so next week we're going to read the trial transcripts of Johnny Grate, Rosetta Grate's father, and Will Carter. I think there's only very few, like 56, maybe 60 pages, if that much, of testimony. I will get with my reader team and we will do this much earlier than Saturday afternoon so that I can give myself time to properly edit and add all the things that I want.
And I will back away from the microphone, I promise.
I think Rich is gonna work with her on her microphone, her volume. But it was fine. I think you did great. So it's no big deal. Everyone was here. Bruce Wayne, thank you so much. Bruce Wayne's got to leave. Thank you so much for being here, and for putting forth an effort to learn about the case. No matter where you start, it's never the wrong place or too late. So hopefully you'll be able to come back next time and learn some more. Wow. So it was fun reading. Cherie can tell you, and those of you in Richard's Discord will, if you're there, Richard and Jennifer will tell you it was a lot of fun reading it. But after a certain amount of time, you do start getting kind of silly because the reading, especially when it's, when the words are just so nonsensical, like they are throughout this whole testimony. So, let's see, perhaps discuss alternative suspects like the black short guy. Joffrey, you're absolutely right. Maybe that's something we can do for members only release first. Cherie, we can maybe do something short for members only, talking about a possible third-party suspect, if you'd like. I don't know, maybe that's something we can do. That's a great idea, Joffrey. Thank you.
Yeah, and in my opinion, a lot of these alleged assaults did not, well, none of them happened from Daniel, but at least for that one especially, where she said it was a short black cop, there's some other person that it could be. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I worded that right, but
no, you did. Shame on me. I forgot. I've gone so long. I'm terrible, and I forgot. Rick, there's a link for you if you want to jump on for a couple of minutes and kind of give your 2 cents, if your opinion about the case. There's the link for you. I just put it in our DM, and you can jump on, and we'd love to hear other opinions. Because as much as we've researched and read over documents, like literally word for word, line by line, in most cases of this, your brain kind of turns mushy after a while, or at least mine did. Mine does. And you start, there's been times that we would spend hours and hours and hours online together through Discord, voice calls, and things like that. Cherie and I, picking over every little thing, because unfortunately, to find the proof that Daniel is innocent of this, that's the only way that we can do it, is going over word by word. And here's Rick. Rick, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
What do you have to say, my friend?
Oh, I've got over 2 pages of notes from the time I started looking into this. Are you kidding me? The big thing I picked up about her testimony is she said that she was sitting behind the driver's seat in the rear of the cruiser. No experienced police officer is ever going to let anybody sit behind him in a cruiser alone, especially a female. He's going to want her where he can see her and control her.
Sure. Yeah. I agree.
And his attorney never brought it up.
He's never going to either.
As soon as those words came out of her mouth, there should have been a sergeant somewhere on the witness list for the defense going, yeah, that never would have happened because that's not our procedure and that's not safe.
Right. Also, Rick, did you pick up on the part of the testimony where she said he didn't search her before she got into his vehicle?
Yeah, there's no way that's happening either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Never. And that's going to happen again in another accuser that's coming up. The 17-year-old, she's going to say the same thing, that he never searched her before he put her in the back of his patrol car. So
that map he put up from where he initiated the Terry stop and where he transported her to.
Yes.
That street that the stop took place on, is that a one-way street heading south?
No, they're not one. They're both ways. The streets are both ways.
Okay, he never would have taken that circuitous route then. The street that she lived on was 2.5 blocks north of where he stopped her. He'd have flipped the car around and gone right up that street and cut across.
Well, I'll show you.
You're transporting a female. You want her alone in that car as little time as possible.
Yes.
There's
Absolutely.
no way he'd have taken that circuitous route with the street she lived on being 2.5 blocks away by just turning the car around. No way.
Not only that, there's a dispatch call where he calls in, because when they transport anyone, particularly a female, they have to call in the mileage from where they start the transport to when they end the transport. And
the exact procedure is you give your unit number, whether that's your badge number or the unit or sector that you're assigned. In my case, when I worked in the Denver metro area, to do that, we would say 14 Adam, transporting one female from the address, starting mileage is, and we would read the mileage to the 10th of a mile off of the dashboard, and the dispatcher would respond, copy for tape. And then when we would get to where we were dropping them off, we would say 14 Charlie arrived, dropping off one female. Ending mileage is, and the dispatcher would copy, repeat the information, for tape, give the time. So it's every department has some type of policy like that.
Yes.
I don't know what call sign they use in Oklahoma City, but
Well, in Daniels, or at least in Oklahoma City at the time, I don't know what they do now. First of all, just let me remind everyone, they didn't have body cameras. They didn't have BWCs at the time, and they didn't have dash cams at the time, which would have, anyway, that's a whole other topic. But anyway, they used their unit number, which in Daniel's case was 2C45, 2 Charlie 45. So yeah, he, definitely, and he did those, he followed that procedure. He called it in. He called in every stop that he makes, and we have most of those dispatch calls. And so, yeah, it's just astounding. Yeah, we could listen. I could spend hours and hours. So what was one or two other things that really stuck out to you in this particular testimony?
Something that I've noticed a number of them that use drugs say is, I relapsed.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know who taught them that word.
Well, we can tell you. Cherie and I can tell you who taught them if you'd like. But
I mean, well, my curiosity was, is this something that the drug treatment centers that they're involved in the programs in Freedom, is that what the prosecutor told them to say to make it not sound as bad? Oh, it's just a sickness. I had a relapse.
Yeah.
So I would be curious who taught them to use that word.
I would say those who have been to rehab, because not all of them have been to drug rehab necessarily, to my recollection. But in Rosetta's case, she is something. She's been to rehab several times. So I wouldn't be surprised to learn to know that she learned that in rehab, possibly. But also, I am also convinced, based on everything I know and have read document wise, that what is it you say, Cherie? The detectives help these accusers remember things that they didn't remember, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rick, I didn't learn until last week, for those of you who don't know, that Rick actually knows a good deal about Daniel's case, and he got his information from, I believe, mostly from Uncuff the Innocent, and then I think
That's where it started, yeah.
Yeah, where it started, and then did further research from there. So, yeah.
Pronounce of just the filings. This is not any of the transcripts. This is just the court filings.
For Daniel's case?
Yep.
Oh man, Cherie. We could absolutely, I mean,
Did you ever read the report I gave you last week?
I haven't read all of it. I did open it and download it. And I think I read the abstract, but
this witness gave the perfect response if that lawyer had bothered to research the effects of cocaine use at all. When she said, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And as soon as those words came out of her mouth, put that report into evidence and call an expert. Because what this report says is repeated use of cocaine destroys your short-term memory, which means if she was under the influence when he stopped her, as she said she was, there's no way she would have remembered those details. Not with her use history.
Yeah,
No way.
exactly. Yeah, and she says at least going back 9 years. I would say it was probably more years than 9, but going back 9 years of crack cocaine use. Come on,
Yeah.
you know.
Nope.
So yeah, that's yeah, just astounding. And that's not even the worst trial testimony we've read.
Well, see, you've got the advantage that you've got the transcripts. I don't have the transcripts.
Right.
So a lot of my listening to your show, now that I found it, and you doing this, is looking at all my notes as you do go through the transcripts of these witnesses to see whether any of my questions are getting answered or not.
Ah.
I mean, I've got over 2 pages of notes.
Just from today's testimony.
Yeah. Overall, I've got probably 30, 40 pages of notes.
Wow. Throughout different, like between last week's testimony and this week, or just overall?
That includes what
Gotcha.
I read in the filings and things that were said. And I mean, one of the questions I have is when they appealed to the Supreme Court, why in God's name, when they filed that motion for certiorari with the Supreme Court, why did they not highlight the fact that the Oklahoma Criminal Court of Appeals illegally cited a case to justify not giving him a new trial?
Well, Rick, SCOTUS wouldn't even hear that, wouldn't even look at the case. They didn't even look at it.
The lawyers in the petition for the writ of certiorari never brought the issue up. That the Oklahoma Criminal Court of Appeals cites, let me find it in my notes here, cites a case in paragraph 10 of their decision. They cite the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces for justification on how to read the intention of an Oklahoma statute. And I believe it was one of the lewd behavior, or soliciting lewd behavior cases. You're not allowed to do that. It says right in the rules you're not allowed to do it. The Uniform Code of Military Justice is written differently from civilian law. The UCMJ is federal law.
Right.
The Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces deals only with military law. It's also a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. This court was using a military action in a civilian law enforcement
court.
Action.
Right.
You can't do it. Why did his appeals attorney to the Supreme Court not bring that up? The Oklahoma Criminal Court of Appeals made an illegal citing in their decision. They used a precedent that they're not allowed to use to justify not overturning a conviction.
You know, it's in full transparency. Full transparency. It's been a long time since I've read that. But I missed that. I guess I just didn't know enough about it.
Let me pull up the decision out of my file, and I can read it exactly for you. That's 2019 Oklahoma CR 17. Not that. Oh, where did that go?
It's okay. I mean, if you have it, that's fine. We'd love to hear it. It is in my Discord.
Here it is.
There's a
Here
okay,
it is.
perfect.
And it's paragraph 10. As the state notes, other courts have interpreted similar language. The New Mexico Court of Appeals found that public view meant the crime happened in a place accessible or visible to the general public. State v. Artrip. No, that's a New Mexico case. Okay, here. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces found for indecent exposure, the phrase public view focuses on the person who views the indecent exposure, not the nature of the place as accessible to the public. And that is U.S. v. Graham 56, Military Justice 266 through 266, 269, 270 from the criminal or the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces from a 2002 case. They cited a military case.
I don't think
You're
I
not allowed to
realized
do
that. Yeah,
You're
well,
not
of
allowed
course
to
not.
do that.
They're two separate entities.
Yeah. Well, their procedures are different, their precedents are different, their definitions are different.
Yeah.
They're all federal laws. There are no state military laws.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rick, listen, you're welcome back anytime, of course. And I know you said you've got 2 pages of notes just from today's testimony. You know, we would love to have you back every week, I guess, really, honestly, to to discuss each episode as we present it. And if you're interested in reading any of the transcripts with us, recording and reading with us, bye out, Lewis. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. Take it easy. Because there's a lot of misconduct and prosecutorial misconduct, law enforcement misconduct, and it's all so well to the average person. It's so well hidden. I don't know if hidden is the right word, really, but buried. Buried may be a better word.
The mistakes that you talked about, the report supporting him that the scientists put together.
Yes.
Okay. Who wrote that with Dr. Gill? I think Jane Goodman, Delahunty did, and there's a Brent Turvey that was also one of the co-authors for that.
We love Brent.
He sat on my dissertation board when I got my PhD.
Oh, wow.
I have my PhD in molecular biology. That's what my PhD is in. So
wow.
that report was like, oh my God, how stupid could be this forensic scientist be? She broke every protocol that could possibly be broken. There is absolutely nothing about her evidence collection on those uniform pants that she did correct. Nothing.
Well, what little bit Cherie and I know, that's what we think as well. I mean, there was nothing. Yeah, Brent Turvey, Susanna Ryan was another one I think that contributed to that paper.
Yeah, I think she did. Yeah, she did. I'm looking at it now.
And yeah, Gill, and yeah, there were we're not talking about slouches here. We're talking world renowned molecular and forensic biologists and scientists, basically. So yeah, it's just I just am so grateful that we've kind of connected in this way, Rick, because I've had no idea that you knew. You had no idea that I was covering this. And we're in a very different community. And I don't talk politics at all on my channel, at least in this case. Regarding Daniel's case, I won't do it. But we are in a very different community where, we don't really talk about specific wrongful conviction cases on a state level. We talk about a lot of other federal and, bigger things, that we talk about regularly every day. So for us to not, kind of connect like this is not like surprising to me. I can't believe I just stuck the word like in there. I hate that. It's not surprising to me, but it's actually it's exciting for me. And I think I'm not going to speak. Cherie, what do you think? I mean, is it kind of exciting to you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have heard the phrase, all politics is local. All law is local too, ultimately, because when all these appeal courts start looking at stuff, the precedents that are cited that lead them, especially to these appeals courts to make a decision, is all the decisions of the lower courts going down to the local level. Okay, well, this judge interpreted it this way, and this judge interpreted, and that's what attorneys do, is they look through all these different precedents and try to find the cases up and down the line that support their side, which is what made me fall in love with doing things like this with the law. Either it didn't take me long when I started following federal cases to go, oh, wait a minute, they're citing a bunch of different state decisions here, or maybe I ought to start looking into these state decisions. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. There are two people right here on this panel right now that are extremely grateful to know you and to know your knowledge and to have you share more and more with us. And you know what? Excuse me. I know that, pardon me. I know that my regular viewers and the people that are, watch regularly, we are thirsty for like a legal, we're thirsty for a true, somebody with a PhD, a legal, mind and knowledge, wealth of knowledge. We're thirsty for that in this case. And
Yes.
so, yeah, just if, as much as you would like to join us on Sundays, we would love to have you. If you...
Kiddo, I will help you any way I can with this, because this is a case that more and more people need to know about. This guy got railroaded. Big time.
Right. We think so too. We believe that wholeheartedly with just our limited knowledge and our poring over the documents that we have for the last 4 years. We believe so too. Sheila says, yes, they are. Yes, we are. She says, we are. We just are really thirsty for. So, listen, I'll leave this completely up to you. But if there's, if you would like to work up your own little presentation or whatever, touching on the things about the case that you find that people need to know about and present it on my channel, we would love that. You don't have to do something. That's a lot of work, a lot of time. And I understand that. But, if we were just able to have you join us,
Kiddo, I'm fully retired now.
Okay.
This is all I do now to keep my mind busy, is continue to look into stuff like this.
Well, we will take advantage of your retirement and your spare time and invite you back anytime you want to join us and share whatever you feel like needs to be heard that people don't know. You
I
know?
also, over the years of my life, have been both an actor and a director in local theater, which is why last week I said, call me before you do the next one.
I forgot. Listen, I went to sleep after that, okay? But I promise, before we get ready to record the next transcript, you're going to be on the list.
There's a way to do it that we used during COVID for various things that we would do, that you can do it online and you don't have that overlap of talking.
Don't have the overlapping what?
Talking over each other like you had last week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I fixed that. Well, I didn't fix it, but we found another route. That was bizarre. We did find a different way to record for this one, but yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm like, every time, this is the first time we've actually spoken verbally about it, but every time we've typed to one another, I've gotten more and more, excited, but actually speaking and hearing you speak, like, what you're talking about with this case, and hearing that from your voice is so exciting to us.
Did his attorney ever speak to the treatment center that she was doing this treatment diversion at?
No.
He never looked into medical records, anything?
Well, his attorney didn't actually do any of the investigating. Brian Bates did all of the investigation. I don't know any medical records or medical things that have been discovered or discussed. I don't have access to that. I'm not allowed to have access to that.
Oh, no, yeah, I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
curious as to whether they ever looked into it, because I would be very curious if the program she went through, because of her long-term use, required her to have a SPECT or a PET test.
Yeah, I can't answer that. Brian Bates, to my knowledge, is the only one who could answer that. But I don't even know if that's true. But I know that we have very, very, very little medical and mental health information. And basically what we do have access to, or what we are allowed to use, is only what you hear in audio interviews, or what's written in a police report, or what gets brought up in court, in front of the jury. Terry Morris definitely talks a lot about her mental health and, different things, and in trial. Tabitha Barnes, although she's, oh God, she's just horrible, horrible, horrible individual. So if whatever medical and mental health information was sought, was only sought after by Brian Bates. The attorneys didn't do any of the investigating. They didn't have time. I mean, in Scott Adams' defense, I know how frustrating he is, but in his defense, slightly, he was trying 13 cases in one fucking trial. That's just, it's not any different than the YSL trial in Atlanta, or in
Fulton County.
Fulton County. The only difference is YSL was a better case because they all had their individual attorneys in the courtroom with them. Daniel had one attorney, one investigator, and one co-counsel. And as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen, the co-counsel, Robert Gray, was useless, in my opinion. So, this is the reason why we're reading these transcripts, memorializing them, because even if, what the mainstream media showed, and what little bit of lies that came through during the time that this was going on, you don't really know the truth until you start reading these transcripts. And that's why we, really, really, really went hardcore trying to make sure that we were memorializing these transcripts, because we feel like that, if you don't think anything else is a lie, you gotta think there's lies and criminal corruption going on listening to these transcripts, in my opinion. So
it's like one of the questions I had from last week wasn't last week when you showed the video of the woman that showed up court high, or did you just talk about it?
No, I don't think we talked about it, but we do have a video of that. That's Tabitha Barnes.
Yeah. His attorney, Daniel's attorney, allowed her to finish her testimony later in the day. Was she medically cleared as competent after being under the influence? To answer the question?
No. Nope. No, that was all decided by the attorneys.
Then how is any of her? Well, the attorneys can decide whatever they want. The judge should have went, whoa, wait a minute, no.
I know.
Hold on. Until you show me proof positive that she's medically cleared from being under the influence, she's not sitting in my courtroom on the witness stand and testifying.
Yep. And the fact that she tested hot, a couple of hours earlier, we know logic tells us, because we are logical people, that she's not medically clear, and she's not, when you testify, you're supposed to be, free of, clear in your mind. And, I don't know. I know during the depositions, when they question the different accusers who filed the civil suit, that's usually the first questions that the attorney asks is, are you taking any medications? Are you supposed to be taking medications that you're not? Because there were some issues with that during the depositions as well. So,
of course, why does that not surprise me?
Yeah. So, fortunately, well, Daniel wanted to go to trial on that, because we had countless exhibits of, different things that we were able to point out and pick through. Oh my God, we spent close to almost a year, right, Cherie, and hours at a time trying to, put these exhibits together. Go ahead, Cherie.
I was just agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did. And we do it again. And literally the week of the trial, the week that we were supposed to go to trial in the civil suit, they dropped the suit against Daniel, because why not? Because he didn't have any money. They knew they weren't going to get anything. But they got the fucking city, Oklahoma City, agreed after they had already been granted summary judgment. They were talked into settling with these women that were. They didn't get very much money. I think we figured out after everything would have been paid, the contingency fees to the attorneys, because some of them had Benjamin Crump and his law firm representing them. So, but the week that we were supposed to go to trial, they dropped the civil suit against everybody involved except for Oklahoma City. And then Oklahoma City agreed. I think the total amount of the settlement, it was in the newspapers. I always say it wrong, but I want to say it was $166,000 for all of the women who were still left in the suit.
Not per. They've got.
No, not per. For all of them to share. So it really, each accuser, I think 9 of them were able to receive their share of that award. But I know that when an attorney friend of ours, a criminal attorney friend of ours, had figured it out for us, his best estimate, I think, because he knows about all the fees, all the this, all the different things that would be taken from that award. Uh, I think he said something like 12, maybe 800 to
8 comes to
eight,
mind, but I'm not sure.
yeah, $800 to $1,200. I think each accuser would have ended up getting from,
No, which
from,
would have been gone in an afternoon at the rate that they use from
yeah,
everything I know about the case. So
yeah. So yeah, it's, but Daniel wanted to go to trial on it, even though, because we were able to show new evidence. We were able to get in new evidence. And
well, and the discovery process in a civil case is different. Civil case, the other side can't go, well, that's been over 10 years. You can't talk about that in their history.
they can or they can't.
They can in a civil case,
Okay.
as
Gotcha.
opposed to the transcripts from today where the prosecuting attorney went, no, Your Honor, that's outside the 10 years. He's not allowed to ask her about that.
Gotcha. Okay.
In a civil case, that doesn't apply.
Okay. All right. I don't know that I knew that. So that's good to know.
Yeah, rules of procedure for civil cases are very different from
Very
criminal.
different. Yeah. I do know that. I just don't know what they are. So I mean, listen, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I graduated finally. I began my college career in 2012 or 13. I didn't actually graduate until 2021, I think it was. Working full time. I'm a mother still, and so it just took me years. Plus, I can't math. I can't do math. And that was the only thing that kept me from graduating sooner was my math. But anyway, that's all beside the point. But I only was required to take one law class for my, what's it called? Not generals, for my core, I guess, core classes. I was required to take one law class, and that was intro to law, I think. I had the worst professor in the entire world for that class. We had to buy that big book of codes. I don't know what they're called, statutes,
Oh, good
codes.
Lord, yes.
That was our textbook. And that was all he would tell us a couple days a week. I took the class 5 stupid damn days a week. The only thing he would say, okay, read this code or statute or whatever. And, we're going to talk about it in class next time. I mean, I didn't learn anything from that because at that point in my studies, I was just like, oh shit, I'm just going to glance through this, get an idea so I can try to participate and then get the hell out. Cause you can't read that shit unless it's what you're planning to do when you graduate, unless law is going to be your degree. You can't read that and be like entertained by it. Come on, man. It was insane. But anyway. All right. Yes.
Well, you did it in less time than I did.
Oh, good.
Well, I started going to college. I had enough credits to graduate high school halfway through my junior year.
I'm not surprised.
I wanted to stay with my graduating class, so where I grew up, you could go and take college classes in the afternoon.
Wow.
While you were in high school. So I graduated high school with an associate's in science.
Nice.
And then joined the Army and spent 20 years in the Army, but I took advantage of the educational system while I was in, so I didn't have to use my GI Bill. They just paid me for it because I was active duty. So I got my Bachelor's of Science and Master of Science while I was in, and then I used my GI Bill for my PhD after I retired. So I started my college career in 1980 and finished in 2013.
Wow. Well, yeah, that makes me feel better, but not because I'm as smart. I just, yeah, not that I'm not disparaging myself. I'm an intelligent woman. I just can't do math. That's it. Uh, and if you're not, and then I graduated, and by the time I graduated, I was, 59 years old. Again, not too old, but it was during COVID, peak of COVID, when I finally graduated, and there wasn't anybody hiring for anything, not even like bailiffs I couldn't get near a courtroom job. You know what I mean? So anyway,
Well, after looking into this case and doing what you're doing, there's not a courtroom in the country that's going to let you anywhere near them at this point.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. We both appreciate. And Cherie is an attorney. Cherie, we're going to wrap up here in just a second, but just tell briefly, Rick, and then those who are still in the chat who don't know about, how and when you got to where you're at as an attorney.
Oh, well, I was a librarian for many years, and then I decided to go to law school in my early 50s. I graduated when I was 56, and I've only been practicing 4 or 5 years now. So I'm fairly new, but I'm loving it. And I do civil law. I'm doing like housing law right now, but I do this on the side.
Yeah, she does it very well. So, all right,
Hey,
listen.
Housing law is very complex. God love you.
What's that?
I said housing law is very complex. God love you, because
Yeah.
you want a headache fast? Go and try to figure out housing law as a general person. You can't.
Well, yeah, we could probably spend another 4 hours on talking just about that, right? Because it's very complex, in my opinion, as a renter. But, well, listen, we're nearly at 4 more hours, and I didn't even realize that this last 45 minutes have gone by as quickly as they have, because you've already taught me much more than I already knew, Rick. So we're going to invite you back before we read next time. You are definitely going to be included in the reading and recording studio that we have in Discord. And because we'd love to have you absolutely to help us. The more, especially male voices, the more male voices we can get, not that it matters, but the more male voices we can get, a little more, realistic, I think might be the right word. So listen, we're going to read we keep wanting to say Johnny Walker, Johnny Grate, and Will Carter next week, 2 male witnesses. So, it's a Black dialect in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And, think about some of that, Rick. I don't know if that's something if not, that's okay. We'll be fine. But anyway, so we're going to end for tonight. And those of you who have managed to hang out with us for the entire time, thank you so much. And look forward to more of Rick, because he's definitely going to be helping us out more. We're definitely going to take him up on his offer. And so, Cherie, do you have any final comments before we hit the button for tonight?
Well, I'm excited to have you on with us, and look forward to more in the future. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Like I said, I'm happy to help.
Well, we don't pay very well, before we go any further, we don't pay well. In fact, we don't pay at all.
I retired from the Army before 9/11 happened. You think I get paid well?
No, not at all. But you will have the pleasure of working with this very entertaining, sometimes funny, sometimes snarky, sometimes bitchy, but always entertaining group of people. So what more could a person ask for, right?
Okay, I spent the first 20 years of my adult life jumping out of airplanes and blowing stuff up for a living.
You're
How
just,
snarky and bad could it be? Well,
well, I don't know. I won't say you've heard the worst of us, but definitely tonight was a spicy one. Oh, I'm not allowed to say spicy. It's not the right sassy, snarky. But, all right. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, well, we try to be funny, Liam. Well, you're funny in the chat by definitely. Liam brings the comic relief to the chat for sure. So we love Liam, and he's so quick, so quick with the wit. Anyway, we will be back next Sunday again, sometime between 1 and 1:30 mountain time, 2 and 2:30 Central Time, and we will have more transcripts. And I think we will have a new reader joining us. And so until then, I think we're going to call it a night and see you next Sunday. And until then, peace out.